This is CBC Television, Windsor 9, Cable 10. The following is a live presentation of CBC Sports.
Blood, sweat, but no tears. Mike Pringle's wounds are healing. His assault on the record book continues. Argo ambush. The mugging of Mike Pringle went unpenalized, so he handed out his own punishment. 234 yards rushing, a record pace, but still hard feelings linger.
Part of the referee's job is to protect the players out there. There was no forward momentum by me. My helmet was off, and you know they didn't blow the whistle. But again, I've made this claim, and I've said it time and time again all week. But nobody else seems to say anything about it.
Perfectly blunt. Eric Blunt is Winnipeg's bright light in an unfortunate season. Still in the hunt for the all-purpose record.
Everybody wants to be known as a one-dimensional player, and I take pride in myself that I can do all things well, as rushing, catching passes out of the backfield, receiving, or returning kicks and punts. I mean, that's the thing I like to do.
Paying the price. Montreal Doug Peterson is fined for spitting, but that won't stop him from crossing the line. Jock of all trades. Jock Climby aspires to be a lawyer and inspires his teammates. Roadblock. Joe Fleming feasts on quarterbacks with a career year 12 sacks. Montreal celebrates its football team as the playoffs loom. The CFL on CBC, and the road to the Grey Cup runs through Montreal. Today, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers meet the Montreal Alouettes at Percival Molson Stadium. And a near-capacity crowd expected today, fashionably late as usual in Montreal on a great day for football. Good afternoon and welcome to the CFL on CBC at historic Molson Stadium, the place of ghosts of games past, and perhaps today the scene of more history in the making. Mike Pringle is on the brink of breaking more CFL records, just 11 more yards rushing, and he will smash his own single-season record of 1,972 yards. He's also very close to becoming the first man in CFL history over 2,000 yards in one season. Mike Pringle was able to put his helmet on for the first time the day before yesterday, still recovering from those terrible turf burns suffered in Toronto 1 week ago. He's ready to go today, and so are we, as we go to the booth and welcome Chris Cuthbert and Chris Walby.
Thanks, Mark. Mike Pringle's brilliant performance against Toronto, 234 yards last week, really overshadowed the return of Tracy Ham. And Chris, now Montreal has a two-pronged offense that is going to concern defenses.
Well, I think there's two things to look at. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. Tracy Ham has been banged up all year. Came back last week through almost 300 yards, 2 big touchdowns in their win over Toronto, and he is running the ball when he has to, not all the time. He is a big key, and this team will go as far as he goes.
And the man who caught the touchdown passes last week, Jock Climby, 154 yards receiving, and he says if Ham keeps playing like that, the Alouettes are going to win the Grey Cup. On the other side, though, it's not a veteran quarterback. It's a guy still feeling his way.
Well, they got to find someone to take charge, a leader, as you were. He's got old Matt Dunnigan's number, and they're hoping that'll transpire into a winning quarterback. He's the 5th quarterback for this team. He has put up some impressive numbers last week. His best game by far against Calgary. A little bit of untimely interceptions, but he's looking for big things today.
So, Chris, neither team can move in the standings. How do you handicap it?
Well, I tell you what you're playing for right now, Winnipeg's got to play for tomorrow. They got to play for jobs right now. There's a new regime, a new sheriff coming to town, and what's going to happen now is these guys got to put some good stuff on film so they're evaluated and get jobs next year. For Montreal, don't underestimate these guys, because I tell you what, they play them tough every time, and the last time they played them, the Bombers won.
Yes, they have split the 2 games. This is the first meeting in Montreal. Mark?
Well, Chris, Mike Pringle's sensational season has already prompted comparisons with the legendary George Reed, the league's single-season rushing leader versus the all-time career rusher, and you see that Pringle is about halfway to that huge total of 16,116 yards for George Reed. Today, we invite your opinion. The polls are open. Call us at 1-900-565-9999. Who do you think's the best running back ever, Mike Pringle or George Reed? It's 90 cents a call, and the proceeds go to cancer awareness. Well, what a glorious day for football here in Montreal. The final weekend of the regular season in Montreal, late October. Temperature 12 degrees, a very slight wind, and not a cloud in the sky as we get set for the opening kickoff and take it back to the top in the booth. And Chris.
Mark, it really is a postcard day. There's Gary Hoffman in his third start as the interim head coach in the post-Reinbold era for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And he'll be matching wits with a man who has been rumored as the next head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Dave Ritchie, whose main concern now is finishing strong. He'd like the Alouettes to match Hamilton's record of 12-5-1 going into the playoffs, and they can do that, Chris. They win today and then next week in Hamilton.
Well, big thing right now, Chris, is to build momentum for the playoffs. Go in the playoffs on a winning streak, and what better way to start today?
Terry Baker kicks it off, and Eric Blunt, the leading man in kickoff returns, has the football and finds some room up this sideline, and Baker has to make the tackle across the 50-yard line, and Eric Blunt has been the bright spot in a disappointing season for these Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Troy Kopp leads the Bombers out on offense, coming off an interesting game last week, 280 yards passing, but 3 costly interceptions.
And these guys up front, I tell you what, 5 quarterbacks, 16 set of receivers. These guys have done the job. Chris Perez, probably one of the best left tackles in the league. Mitch Running, a guy that just keeps getting better every day. 7 games going, leading receiver for the Bombers right now.
So Kopp with good field position starts at the 52 and looks downfield for Mitch Running. And Running took a big hit there from the safety, Loftus, jarring the ball loose.
A nice job of Loftus reacting to the football when it's in the air. Throw it up a little high. These guys are going to have their hands full. I said Winnipeg offensive line is very good. These guys know it. Alfred Payton's going to be working. Tracy Gravely, Brian Clark, Stephon Reed in the middle. Good set of linebackers for the Alouettes. And of course, Harold Nash moves out to the corner, replacing Kraft, who's injured this game, but we hear he's just kind of getting a rest for the playoffs.
Loftus with the hit. He's pumped up today, a University of Manitoba product. The draw play on 2nd and 10, and Blunt across midfield into Montreal territory. Pickup of about 5. Stephon Reed, the middle linebacker, and Brian Clark being on the tackle.
Well, nice job of mixing it. He goes to the air first time. He thinks he sees something. He tries to get Mitch Running down the middle. That is turning out to be Troy Kopp's favorite receiver in the games he's played. But of course, they've got all the weapons. We talked about Blunt, what he does on kickoff returns, on punt returns, but he also can run the ball very effectively.
There's 44-year-old Bob Cameron enjoying his best year punting in the CFL since 1984, playing in game number 328 of his illustrious career. And Tyree Davis from his 9. Davis is the guy with the touted 4-1 speed, and he turns it upfield to the 29-yard line. 44-yard punt by Bob Cameron and a 19-yard return. And there is Tracy Ham, who last week against Toronto made his first start since September 20th and made it an impressive one.
Well, I tell you what, Uzuo Okeke, they're rating him. They're pushing him right now in the meetings and talking to the media right now as one of the top linemen in the CFL. Jock Climby, outstanding game last week. A lot of reception, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chris Armstrong might come out of the dark. Watch for a big game out of Chris this afternoon. He hasn't got the ball as much as he'd like to, and he's told Tracy, get it to me.
First down, Montreal. They fake to Pringle. And outside Ben Cahoon. And Cahoon cut down at the 36-yard line. And a gain of 7 for the rookie out of BYU.
I tell you, anytime you're making tackles, you've got to be wondering, because right now they're out of it. They're playing for jobs right now. Glenn Scribner, the big veteran right there. Wesley Lisi. This kid, they think, has a future with this football club. He's got a great bunch of people with him, Maeva and Carter. And Nick Ferguson, the man who just made that play right there in the corner. He's a guy they don't throw the ball to very often, and he doesn't have an interception yet this year as evidence.
Mike Pringle's first carry of the game, and they stack him up left side, close to the first down. Yesterday, Gary Hoffman saying, you got to stop him at the line of scrimmage, or else he is real trouble. And the big problem is sometimes you can't even see him behind that offensive line.
He's got a huge offensive line. You know what? One of the things about it is He is so big and he's so powerful right now that his legs, as you say, once he gets up ahead of steam, he is really tough to bring down. But one of the things about Pringle is the fact, Chris, is that you can stuff him 10 times the first 10 times he carries the ball. He's going to bust one on you eventually.
He got 3 there, so he's 8 away from the record. Ham looking downfield and Armstrong wide open, but the ball a stride too heavy for Chris Armstrong, who comes into the game as the 5th leading receiver in the Canadian Football League.
Well, talking to the guys that they just brought Winnipeg Blue Bombers, just brought Dickie Adams back to change the secondary of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They've had some problems with guys playing their own game right now. As a result, you get breakdowns. There was a breakdown right there. Tracy sees him coming. We talked about Armstrong wanting the ball. He's wide open here. The throw's a little less. It could go all the way for 7.
2nd and 10. And Ham with a lot of time to set up and deliver the football. Incomplete. Intended for Jock Climby. Everybody in the house waiting for Mike Pringle to get the football, and just 1 carry on the first series for the Alouettes as Ham goes to the air.
Well, you know what? Last week we saw evidence of what this trend continuing. That was one of the first games this season that Montreal actually threw the football more than they handed the football off to Pringle. They actually attempted 31 passes last week, handed the ball off to 20 or 29 times to Pringle. That's a beautiful mix of plays. That's what you got to do to be successful. That's why they were last week.
Terry Baker in. 1-hop snap, and they get to it, and it's blocked. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have got it for Reese Kelly into the end zone. Touchdown. The 2nd punt block of the season for the Bombers. They beat Montreal on special teams in the last meeting, and they come up with a big play early here.
Well, big play. They got great pressure. 3 guys actually come clean. 1 guy gets the block on Baker, picks up the football, runs it in, gets a touchdown. You got to like the way they start. I'll tell you one of the things about Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They're taking a lot of heat offensively. They take some heat defensively, but special teams, these guys have played grade A all year long. You see them coming right through. That's just a nice job of getting the hands up. John Kalin at the point of where the punt is going to be.
Kalin, Stiegel, and Kelly all in on Baker. Extra point added by Westwood. So the Bombers are not going to roll over. And they strike first in Montreal.
It has the most powerful Vortec engine ever made. 4-wheel disc anti-lock brakes standard, and the largest, most comfortable cab we've ever built.
Yeah, what? Your truck's here. Good. They said they'd drop it off.
The totally redesigned Sierra by GMC. That's a truck. I'll say.
Some big wheels that just rolled into Canadian Tire. Names like Michelin, Goodyear, Uniroyal, and Pirelli. Whether they're for your light truck or car, you need them, we've got them. So roll into Canadian Tire today, and you'll roll out with a great deal. Because nobody but Canadian Tire can bring the biggest brand names in tires down to our lowest prices guaranteed. After all, we are Canadian Tire.
Canadian Tire, still the right place.
Tired of having it their way? Have it your way at Burger King. Hold the pickle, hold the lettuce. Special orders don't upset us. All we ask is that you let us serve it your way. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Have it your way. Have it your way. When you have it your way, Canada, it just tastes better.
Second punt block of the year for Winnipeg, both by John Kalin.
Well, I'll tell you what, you got to look at this. Take a look at this guy right here, Steve Charbonneau. He's got to pick up the man right now. He picks him up. You can't just touch him like that. You've got to get into the guy, stop for a couple seconds, push him to the outside, get downfield, make the play. That's not enough time to get the kickoff.
Bombers kick it off to Chris Wright back in the Montreal lineup. First time in 5 weeks. And this is the element that Wright brings to Montreal. One of the premier return men in the league. 39 yards as he makes the statement that he's back. Let's join Mark.
Well, Chris Kelly's block punt returned for a touchdown, bringing up shades of the last time these two teams met. There's Milt Stiegel returning a punt 80 yards for a touchdown. The Bombers also had a 95-yard return for a touchdown and a 70-yard fumble return for a touchdown by Reggie Carthon. The Bombers beating Montreal without scoring a single offensive touchdown. There's Eric Blunt, the all-time leading kickoff return man, with that 95-yarder, and already today one on special teams for the Blue Bombers.
So I know the Alouettes had spent some time focusing on the special teams work from the last game and were particularly upset with the way they played. So not a good start for Montreal. And Paul Gerardo, the rookie out of UBC, is down on the play.
Yeah, he's usually a special teamer, comes in. They really liked what they saw when they brought him in for a short stint. He got released, he went home, but Hoffman quickly called him back because he sees things about this guy.
I want to ask you, though, in a game late in the year, on either side, when you're thinking about the playoffs or thinking about next year, was it tough to get up for a game like this?
Oh, it is tough. It definitely is, especially if you're in Montreal shoes. You know you've got home field clinched. What happens is your pre-game prep changes a little bit. You're a little bit more relaxed. You tend to do things. You'll stay at the barbecue an hour later than coming home.
Second series for Montreal. Pringle 8 yards away from a CFL record. And he powers his way forward for 4 or 5 more.
Well, I tell you, I like Winnipeg's defense. I've always liked their defensive line. They've got a good group of linebackers there. They got some young kids. They got an interesting story. Aaron Collins, one of 19 children. Now, if you can't get a block there, I mean, you're basically beating pass rushing guys to get to the cereal bowl.
2nd and 7. Ham looks outside and has the completion to Cahoon. And the first down stick. Don Robinson with the tackle for Winnipeg.
And again, Chris, we're seeing a really nice balanced attack by Montreal. When they lost the first game of the back-to-back series to Toronto, they tried to primarily live with the running game. They forgot the passing game till too late. Since then, the last 2 weeks, they've really tried to establish a nice mixing of it, and they've done a great job of it so far.
Again, a fake to Pringle. Ham rolling right side and has a receiver over the middle. And Cahoon's been a favorite so far tonight. And at the 30 of Winnipeg, it's another first down, as it almost looks like Tracy Ham is intentionally staying away from Pringle.
Well, just a nice job. It's all set up by the play action. He just hands it off, fakes like he's giving it to Pringle, pulls out a little bit of bootleg, pull one offensive lineman who does a really nice job of hitting Carter, allowing him just to get that extra time to throw the football. Nice job, nice completion.
Keeps the Winnipeg defense off balance, going no huddle. Calling the play at the line from the Winnipeg 31. Short drop and another strike. And Jock Climby has the ball at the 22. Gain of 9. Climby catching that in front of Don Robinson.
Well, I tell you what does a veteran quarterback give you? He gives you the ability to check off. Before the snap of the football, Tracy Ham changes the play. He sees something in coverage, changes it, gets a nice pass out to the Climby. It's going to be 3rd and short. They're going to measure. But that's what a veteran will give you, Chris. He'll give you opportunities, and that's all you can ask.
Jock Climby feeling vindicated by last week's performance. He was the forgotten man in the offensive scheme, and it is a first down with the spot of the ball at the Winnipeg 21-yard line. Climby went through a stretch of 6 games with only 114 yards, and then last week was breakout time, and the 6 catches for 154. Mike Pringle, 2 carries, 7 yards. Montreal marching. They're down by a touchdown here midway through the first quarter. Pitch left side. Here's Pringle cutting it back. And Joe Fleming, the man to bring him down, and he is close to the 11 yards needed for the CFL record.
Well, they're making him earn these yards. We've seen him bust the first time he touches the football for big yards, but I tell you what, the Winnipeg defense is going to make him earn every one of these yards. This is one of their favorite plays. Just a little sweep action, take it to the side behind OKK, trying to get him a little room, bam. Good job of pursuit by the Winnipeg defense.
He just matched his CFL record from 94 with 1,972 yards, but he needs one more. Ham, end zone, Armstrong! Off the fingertips incomplete. And it will be third down.
Again, a nice read by Tracy Ham. Gets Chris Armstrong, takes it back to the corner of the end zone. The ball is perfectly thrown there. This is a ball that I know Chris Armstrong will tell you he should catch. I mean, this you just can't get a better throw. It's right over the shoulder. It's in his hands as he tries to pull it into his body. The momentum of bringing his arms down actually throws the ball out.
Terry Baker in. And Baker puts the Alouettes on the board. Midway through the first quarter at Molson Stadium.
To the worse. Split-second reaction. 180 degrees from nowhere. 4 days overdue. And 3 months recovery equals 1 score to be settled. For all you do, this Bud's for you.
Pringle in conversation with the spotters booth. He has 3 carries, 10 yards, and this ties his own CFL record of 1,972 yards, but it's going to be tough sledding today. 1994, Pringle set the standard as a Baltimore Stallion. The mark previously held by this man, Willie Burden, in 1975. 1,896 yards. And a new CFL mark will be set later today, probably on the next series, the next time this man carries the football. Baker kicking it off, and this one kicking to Eric Blunt. And Blunt drops the football. Montreal's on it. Andre Bolduc, one of the special teams players for Montreal, who said he didn't like looking at the films of that game against Winnipeg the last time they met in September, comes up with a special teams play.
Well, nice job. I was just going to give kudos to the return team because the returner is only as good as the guys ahead of him blocking for him. What happens this time? He gets the ball, gets hit right away, the ball gets stripped, and it's recovered by Montreal deep in Winnipeg territory. This is something that Winnipeg can't have happen early because they don't want to get behind the 8 ball.
So here we go. Montreal with a first down at the Winnipeg 18-yard line. And Mike Pringle with a chance to run into history, and he is stopped at the 18-yard line. And that may be enough to break the record, but it looks like they'll spot it for no gain.
That's an exceptional job of coming from the backside by 52. Wesley Lisi, he's a big rookie out of Mississippi State, and he's got incredible, probably the most talented athletically of the linebacking crew, and he has a bright future in this league.
Are they doing a job? 4 carries for Pringle, 10 yards. He averages 6 yards a carry. And 2nd and 10, so Ham's got to go to the air. Wide open, touchdown, Ben Cahoon. His 4th catch of the game, and Cahoon's in the end zone with his 3rd touchdown of the season.
Ben Cahoon having to take a seat. He was the backup receiver a couple of weeks ago. He's back in the lineup again, and you can tell that Tracy Ham loves this guy. The way he runs his routes, the way he fires and beats one-on-one coverage, and the way he catches a football.
So the record will have to wait. The Alouettes with more important duties, putting points on the board, and they take the lead. 10 straight points after the Winnipeg touchdown.
Kids aren't just kids. They're our hope and our future, and it's our responsibility to put their needs first, which is why we set out to raise education standards with caps on average class sizes and a relevant new curriculum, the first to be taught in every school in the province. Then province-wide testing will check that the new high standards are being met. It would have been easier to just leave things alone, but kids are important. Their needs come first. A message from the Government of Ontario.
Tired of having it their way? Have it your way at Burger King. Hold the pickle, hold the lettuce. Special orders don't upset us. All we ask is that you let us serve it your way. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Have it your way. Have it your way. When you have it your way, Canada, it just tastes better.
The Cole Clinic for hair transplants.
30 catches on the year for this CFL rookie. Ben Cahoon has put Montreal ahead 10-7, 6:45 left on the clock in the first quarter. As Terry Baker sends it downfield, and Blunt, or McCullough, across the 40, up to the 43-yard line, an 18-yard return. Well, this is the kind of game you expect when Montreal plays Winnipeg. It just seems like they match up well against each other.
Well, you know, Chris, they match up well, and what'll kill you is what it'll kill any team is turnovers. And Montreal just, you know, just pounded that back home to the Winnipeg team right now. Do not turn over the ball in your territory, or we'll take advantage of it.
Numbers on Troy Kopp. And this is 6th straight start for the Blue Bombers. And they give it left side. Eric Blunt cuts back and then back outside. Nice run by Blunt. And he's out of touch near the first down. Finally forced out by the safety, William Loftus. And it is an 11-yard pickup for Blunt.
Well, this is a nice job of blocking at the point of attack. Chris Perez is going to get out there. You can see Millington right here, and Mitch running, double teaming on Peyton, allowing them to get the corner. Very important. If you're going to run anything outside the tackle, you've got to establish that corner to give your back somewhere to run.
Alfred Peyton in his stance, ready to put the heat on Kopp. Blunt again. And he runs through the tackle of Brian Clark for a couple. Clark, the outside linebacker, out of Hofstra.
Well, they got some good things happening. I mean, I like what Winnipeg's doing. They're trying to establish the run. You got good running back. Remember Blunt's, he does so much stuff on the kickoff and punt return that he knows how to run in open field. If he can bust the line, he's going to go.
Gary Hoffman said he simplified the offense for Kopp. More of a two-back system for him, allows him fewer reads. 2nd and 8 here, and Kopp guns it for running, who drops the ball. Incomplete. Torrey Hunter was in coverage for the Alouettes.
Well, you're right. And I've always liked the two-back system. Unless you're going to scat back everybody and you're going to let the defense know that you're passing the ball, two-back gives you options, simplifies the offense. On this play, Kopp makes the right read. Ball is right on the money. Mitch Running, who is usually Mr. Reliable receiving the ball, drops this one.
Thomas Haskins drops back to receive the punt from Bob Cameron. Good rush by the Alouettes, but Cameron sails the punt downfield, and Haskins from his 10 nailed immediately. Downfield coverage there. And the Alouettes are pinned back as we join Mark Lee.
Chris, the Bombers have one of the best defenses against the run, and I was just talking to Joe Fleming on how they've managed to withhold Mike Pringle so far in this game, and he says they're trying to get into the gaps, force Pringle to go laterally. That way he can be seen. He's so short that he gets behind those offensive linemen, and when he gets through the gaps, he's often gone before anybody sees him. So right now the Bomber line is trying to get him into the gaps, hold him up, and then get support from the secondary.
Bombers rank 6th against the run on the year, but that's deceiving because they're on the field an awful lot and have contained opposition teams to about 106 yards a game on the ground. Here's Mike Pringle, and he's going left side following Big Neil Ford, stretching out to the 12-yard line, and I think he just got back to the line of scrimmage again.
Mark Lee, what he just told us is exactly what happened here. They strung it out. They forced him to hide behind. He gets the football. He gets behind Big Neil Ford. Looks like a hamburger in his back pocket. But what happens is you allow the backside to get pursuit. Carter comes all the way from the other side, tackles him on the football, gets the 1 yard.
They have spotted the ball at the 12, and they give Pringle a yard. That is the record breaker, and the fans are on their feet here for 1973. But who would have thought it would come so hard today? Second down, almost a full 10, and a completion to Jock Climbey across the 25-yard line.
Well, the big thing, Chris, is this. Yes, the running game. They're having a hard time getting Pringle established running the ball. But Tracy Ham says that's fine. I'm having all kinds of success throwing the football.
So Mike Pringle has 11 yards, and that's all he needed for the record. The way Winnipeg's playing on D, he might need to get a few more to make sure it stays in the books. Here he goes, left side. Well, he makes the statement now. That's a typical Pringle run for close to first down yardage, and he's headed for 2,000.
Well, the big thing is we talked about, I mean, he's going to get stopped. He's going to, there's going to be times when he carries the football that Winnipeg's defense, who are playing a gap cancellation type of defense, will stop him. But as you said, they're throwing the football, they're getting success. What happens then? The defense stays on the field.
That was the record-breaking run, and you heard Grant Carter in pursuit. 51 will be tracking Pringle all day long.
But to finish what I was going to say, the biggest thing about it is the longer this defense stays on the field, it's got to tire you out. And as a result, you're going to see bigger runs by Mike Pringle, and you're going to see him take a charge at that 2,000 mark.
4 of the top 6 single-season marks in Canadian Football League history held by number 27. This time, play action to Pringle, and Climbey stayed up and makes the big play in Winnipeg territory. So Jock Climbey continues where he left off last week against Toronto.
Nice job by Jock Climbey, keeping his balance, not allowing his knees to go to the ground, putting his hand, almost doing the old pirouette on his hand. Keeps his balance, goes downfield. Maurice Kelly thought he had him stopped. Good second effort.
Climbey, 3 catches, 45 yards, and now the ball in Winnipeg territory, and here is Pringle. And he powers his way to the 40-yard line, and a gain of 8 more. Pringle, who's now 34 yards on the afternoon, 4 shy of 2,000. David Maeva finally brought him down. We'd now like to welcome viewers right across the greater Montreal area and thank the Alouettes for lifting the blackout this afternoon. Mike Pringle headed for 2,000. There's the fake to Pringle. And Tracy Ham dumps it off, and Pringle's going to run with this one inside the 15. Finally nailed down at the 9-yard line. Don Robinson bringing him to the turf. It's a 31-yard gain for Mike Pringle.
opening of our show, Chris, we talked about the importance of having Tracy Ham and what he can do for you. I mean, he just fakes a handoff, little play action, and he just kind of stands around looking for somewhere, finds the opening, gets the football, and he wants it. If he can have it every play, he'll take it every play.
Here's Pringle, right side, 2,000 and more, touchdown! Mike Pringle on the drive, 5 carries, 33 yards, a 31-yard catch, and in the record books.
And we've seen it all. I mean, Chris, we've had Mark McGuire, 70 home runs, Sammy Sosa, 66. Here we go right now today. 2,000 yards, a first ever in the CFL, Mike Pringle. That's just what he does. They got big O'Kakey in front of him. O'Kakey just does an absolutely wonderful job of coming all the way from the backside, stealing off the middle linebacker, Aaron Collins, and allowing Mike Pringle just to jog into the 2,000. But it's reflective of their whole year. They love each other in the proper term. I mean, this is it. Look at this face. It's there. It's done.
And the fans now rising to their feet. Mike asked that the game not be stopped today. He'll be honored at halftime. That's the kind of competitor he is. He doesn't want to change the momentum of the game. Although who would have known that 2,000 would have come on a touchdown play? Has there ever been a more fierce competitor in the CFL?
No, I don't think so, Chris. You watch what he's done. I mean, when you just think about 2,000 yards, 1,000 yards is regarded as a great year. This is a 2,000-yard rush. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Pringle family in the crowd, in behind the Montreal bench, celebrating too. Dylan McCullough for Winnipeg over the 30 to the 34-yard line. He is not the first man to carry the ball for 2,000 yards in pro football, but he is the first in what is known as a passing league, the Canadian Football League.
Well, this is phenomenal. Just the way he does it. Look at 53 coming around here, 59 Birchfall getting a block. I mean, he is a great, great running back, and he has a great offensive line in front of him. Take a look at where Mike Pringle is. The NFL, Eric Dickerson, 2105, and of course, All-Pro Herschel Walker, 85. And I believe that was with the New Jersey Generals.
Winnipeg back to work. Blunt, right side. And a flag down as Eric Blunt skips out of bounds. Well, we'll be interested to hear from George Reed this afternoon, the leading rusher in Canadian Football League history, over 16,000 yards.
Holding, Winnipeg 85. First down repeated.
Milt Stiegel called. George Reed's career wrapped up in 1975. Clearly, this is the dominant rusher in CFL history.
Because I got such a great offensive line. You need to put the camera on them. They're the reason why I got the amount of yards I do. My offensive line right there.
No wonder wonder Walby likes him so much.
He is the total consummate pro because you're right. They work so well together.
Sutherland, Bercheville, Mokeke, Chu, and Fort.
Well, you know what they are? It's like having pumpkin pie without the whipped cream, baby. You got to have both to make it taste good and work well, and he's got it all.
Final play of the first quarter. An historic afternoon here at Molson Stadium. Mike Pringle and the Alouettes have the lead.
The 1999 Nissan Altima. Unexpected luxury from just $19,898.
Every Hollywood studio uses Dolby technology for realistic sound.
Hello? Anyone there?
But only one satellite system brings genuine Dolby surround sound into your living room. Subscribe this fall, and you'll get a month of premium movies, plus 2 movies from Viewer's Choice, and up to $200 in additional programming, all free. Like movies? Star Choice is the ticket.
Now that autumn's rolled around, we're bringing in the crops for the Fall Country Feast at Swiss Chalet. It's back for a limited time with a juicy quarter chicken, plus your favorite side dish, served with our harvest vegetable stuffing. And topped off with your choice of pie like pecan or pumpkin. Chicken and stuffing and pie, oh my! The Fall Country Feast, just $7.79. So get yours before it rolls out.
Welcome back to Montreal, where fans here are still celebrating Mike Pringle as the first man in CFL history over 2,000 yards in a single season. And here's Mike's family here to witness the whole thing. His mother, Annie, wife, Kenya, son, Isaiah, and his father, Andrew. And Annie, let's start with you, all the way from the San Fernando Valley in California to watch your first game in Montreal. What was the moment like for you?
Oh, I can't even explain it. It was fantastic. Really, really fantastic.
Kenya, what about you? What did Mike have to say before this game? Was he nervous?
No, he had his game face on. He was more concerned about winning the game, going out and, just playing. And he got his yards. I think that was secondary, but, now that he's done it, I'm sure it's like he's really excited about it. So.
Andrew, as his father, watching him grow up and play football, did you ever think this was possible for your son? 2,000 yards in one season.
No, like I said, I never envisioned that he would be running for 2,000 yards. And I didn't think that, but for him being a professional and watching him play in Pop Warner High School and college, I knew he had the talent to play the pro game. So I knew that. But the 2,000, no, that's great. It's just great to be here to witness it. And I'm happy, and I know he's elated about the whole thing.
Well, it's a great day. Congratulations on your son and your husband's effort and your dad's effort, and thanks very much for your time today.
There's a punt block into the end zone. Bolton can't find it, but they do get out of Steve Charbonneau. The man that blocked the punt has the touchdown. And it's all going Montreal's way now.
We talked about being focused for Winnipeg. They have nothing to play for, but they actually do. Every game they're out there, they're playing for a paycheck. Not only that, but they're playing for next year. And what happens, these films will be evaluated with a fine, I want to say comb, but I don't use one of those with me. But they will be evaluated by the new person that comes in, takes over the role of general manager, and the new head coach. And I mean, you cannot have these mental breakdowns, these lapses right now.
To add the extra point, so block punts for either team today, and both have resulted in touchdowns, and now Montreal with 24 consecutive points.
start something.
Andy Rogers just learned about the new Bell Advantage savings plan for small business. Andy thinks, I can talk to my customers for up to 10 minutes anytime, anywhere in Canada. Watch Andy as he gets on the phone and calls a customer. Relaxed and confident, Andy makes a sale. Congratulations, Andy. For just 35 cents a call, small business can call anywhere in Canada for up to 10 minutes. Call 1-877-4 to enroll.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by Bell, connecting you to the people, places, and things that matter.
Second block punt of the year for Montreal. There's Steve Charbonneau, a native of Cowansville, Quebec. He got to Bob Cameron. And
well, let's take a look at these two guys. Here's a snapper, Grant Carter, and the next guy right here. Now watch, this guy should be blocking down. There's all these guys over here. He wants to go here. Wrong. Watch it come now. Nobody picks the guy up. Charbonneau comes clean right off the center snap. You can't have that. The rule is block inside out.
And it's his first touchdown in the Canadian Football League.
Now, you know, Chris, he kind of made atonements of some sort, because he was the guy on his punt team that broke down and allowed the punt to be blocked by the Winnipeg Football Club, by John Kalin.
Grant Carter trying to get his guys back on focus at the Winnipeg bench. High kickoff, and it's down loose on the field. Scrum for the ball, and Winnipeg does get on it. One of the up men just ran right by it. That's a free football.
Well, I tell you what, Winnipeg's going to have to start waking up. Do something to get a little energized right now. They played very well defensively, stopping the run, stopping Mike Pringle. But what's happening now, they're just kind of walking around in a cloud right now. I don't know if they have to get a coffee machine down there or get caffeine injections, but they've got to wake up, because this game is far from over, and unless they start picking it up, it can get very ugly.
Well, Troy Kopp, although just a rookie and only his sixth start, has got leadership qualities, and we'll see if he can fire up the Winnipeg offense. But in the first minute of the second quarter now finds itself behind by 17 points. Stiegel in motion right side, Blunt the ball carrier, and Eric Blunt turns the corner and is out at the 52. William Loftus, the safety out of Manitoba, forcing him out.
Well, just another job of excellent blocking at the point of attack. Todd Furtick gets a seal. There comes 81 Mitch running to help him out. This is exactly what they did to the other side. Beautiful job allowing Blunt to get to the corner and pick up the yards. Very successful running play.
Well, these are all-purpose yards, and Eric Blunt, who has had a brilliant year breaking Winnipeg records for kickoff and punt returns in a single season, challenging Mike Pringle's record for all-purpose yards, and now with more on the ground, took a vicious hit as he got to the 50, 7 yards more, but a flag down on the field.
Well, Montreal's going to get called for offside, but you got to love the way they're coming around here. They are running, and I'm talking these backside guys, these offensive linemen, these aren't ballet dancers, but they got beautiful feet. And I mean, they come around here.
Montreal 57, first down repeated.
Alfred Payton being called with the offside, but on that play, I mean, Craig Hendrickson comes all the way around. This is the 20-yard shot. Picks his man up perfectly, head in the middle of the numbers. It's a coaching textbook. Great job of execution by the Winnipeg offense.
They've leaned on Blunt so far today. 1996, he was a 1,000-yard runner in this league with the Edmonton Eskimos. He's the lone setback. 1st and 5. Blunt gets down near the first down at the Montreal 48.
Well, you know, Chris, and talking about Blunt when he played for Edmonton, I remember playing against him, and he set the record there for Edmonton. He got 5 touchdowns in that one game against us. It was the Blunt show, the Eric Blunt show that day. So he is very capable of carrying the load.
kind of surprised you'd even bring that up. Thought that one was erased from the memory banks.
Oh, no. The good and the bad, it all stays in there.
Ball was marked back at the 50, so it's second and a couple for the Bombers. And Blunt's been a workhorse. And he has the first down. Blunt said this has been definitely his best year in the Canadian Football League in his 5th year, but he said he hasn't been able to enjoy it much with this 2-14 record.
Well, most definitely. Records are individual. They're great to look back on because 20 years from now, when somebody runs to Eric Blunt in the street and said, Eric, what happened? What about that 98 year? He's going to remember the yards he got, everything he did, all purpose. He won't remember the record.
First down for the Bombers. Stays on the ground. Dylan McCullough now gets outside, and he's close to another Winnipeg first down. And they're running against a Montreal defense ranked number 2 against the run. Alfred Payton bringing McCullough down.
And it's a good thing Alfred Payton got down there to make that shoestring tackle, or he would keep running. Just a simple sweep play. They're pulling the backside, gets a nice job of Millington opening the hole, and you can see Alfred coming down there and grabbing the ankle.
Boy, it was quite a collision there. A couple of Montreal defenders. Loftus was one of them, and Harold Nash colliding. And McCullough close to a first down on that run. It'll be second and less than a yard. And a nice situation for the youngster Troy Kopp.
Well, remember Loftus a couple games ago coming across the middle, missed the tackle on the receiver, ended up killing his own defensive back. He's a head-under out there.
And Douglas Kraft, who's not in the lineup today.
I mean, so he is definitely out there trying to get a mark in this league and leave an impression.
See what Kopp does with this 3 down. He'll just push ahead inside the 35. Gary Hoffman was saying that he saw some nice signs last week from Kopp. They send in all the plays to their quarterback, but a couple of times Kopp changed the play. He saw something on the field, and Hoffman said he made the right calls.
You cannot buy that. That is such, you know, you get a lot of quarterbacks that come into the league, and what they'll do is they'll run whatever the coach says, no matter what defense does, if they shift or anything. It takes a guy that's got a little bit of guts to change a call, risks making the play not work, and then making it work. That's a bonus. You gotta like his attitude, and he's gonna, I really think he's got a great future in this football league.
First down, and he's going up top. Stiegel's open inside the 10, and Milt Stiegel is down at the 4-yard line. Baron Miles saves the touchdown, but here's a guy that Troy Kopp's going to learn to rely on, the very dangerous Milt Stiegel.
Well, Milt made his mark last year as far as everything. Long bomb downtown. Does it again right here. Just gets behind the coverage of Baron Miles. Finds it. Nice throw. The ball's right in the breadbasket. Catches it. Eludes one tackle. Gets brought down on the 3-yard line of the Alouettes.
1,616 yards last year for Stiegel. And after a quiet 3 games returning, he broke out last week. Dylan McCullough to the goal line and in. Touchdown, Winnipeg.
That was a really nice drive put together by the offense. They've been under heavy criticism the whole year of not being able to sustain anything. The defense has been on the field. They haven't been able to give anybody a rest. Well, this time they've answered it, because I tell you what, nice job of mixing the run and the pass, moving it all the way down the field, and punching it in from the 3-yard line by Dylan McCullough. Just a nice job getting behind the offensive line, putting his nose down to the grindstone and saying, I'm not going to be denied the goal line.
The drive started with Eric Blunt, finishes with the other tailback, McCullough. The left footer Westwood adds the extra point. And with 9:26 remaining in the first half at Molson Stadium, it's 24-14.
The way we might have designed a room years ago probably isn't the way we do it now. But the desire to create that perfect space hasn't changed. Stunning design is based on color, like the brilliant palettes you'll find in the exceptional new 100% acrylic Designer Series, exclusively from Home Hardware and Home Building Center. The new Designer Series helps you create your perfect space.
Yes. I'd like to get some mutual funds.
Okay, Mr. Wheeler, you kindly put your head in the vise and we'll get started.
Now, when I say the letters FI, I'm referring to bond funds, S equities, and C, well, money markets. Now, let's take a peek at a few of the funds available to you and how their standard deviations compare to their compounded annual returns. Before we calculate...
There is a quick and painless way to get the right mix of mutual funds. Matchmaker, available at Bank of Montreal. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Dylan McCullough had 1,627 yards at Miami of Ohio. And he caps the drive here to put Winnipeg back in the football game at Molson Stadium. Old-fashioned football with the running backs making a statement today. Mike Pringle the loudest, but Winnipeg making some noise on the ground too. Here's Tyree Davis starting from his 10. Across the 25-yard line. Wade Miller, always good on special teams, made the tackle.
Well, you know, we talked to Wade earlier. I said, you know, Wade, you've been back 6 games, you already got 10 tackles. But let's take a look at this touchdown. Or the play coming up. This is a nice job of bootleg. What happens when you run the ball is you can do the bootleg or the play action pass. Just a nice job. Handoff, gets behind the big left side of the offensive line and punches it into the end zone. I tell you what, there's some things on Winnipeg that will not have to be fixed next year, and I think the offensive line and some of these running backs they have are 2 of them.
A little look to Pringle and then Cahoon with the catch, but no yardage. In fact, stopped behind the line of scrimmage. Nick Ferguson, the cornerback, quickly on Cahoon that time.
And one of the things you're going to see is, obviously, if the offense starts taking some of the time and staying on the field a little bit, the defense is going to be rested. They're going to be a little bit more fired up. You forget, you don't even think about the record. You don't even think that you're 2-15 or 2-14. You're in a football game for 60 minutes. You're playing against that guy. Records mean nothing right now.
Second and close to 11 yards, and Ham tried to pull back there, but the momentum of his throwing arm came forward, and the ball ended up in the turf. Incomplete.
Well, just a good job of coverage downfield. I mean, they give him the necessary time, the defensive line, to get in there. Grant Carter's coming around.
Eavesdropping on Grant Carter today.
You did, huh?
Carter thought he had the sack. Ham had the incompletion instead. Eric Blunt charging up to field that before it hit the turf, and Winnipeg's got pretty good field position, Chris, to try and close the gap here. They're down by 10 with 8:17 to go in the first half.
And I tell you, you got to like the confidence of Blunt. I mean, that ball is kicked short. He comes up on the run and fields it. A lot of guys are scared about doing that. They think that the ball, 2 forces meeting the ball coming to meet you as you're coming toward it, will cause a fumble. It'll bounce off your shoulder pads. Nice job. A lot of times you're going to get a no yards in that play.
Well, who is the best running back in CFL history? There's a lot of people watching today that never watched George Reed. And a lot of people that watch George Reed that say there's no debate. George, of course, is the greatest running back in history, but we'll sort it out with your votes this afternoon and hear from the great George Reed at halftime. Tracy Gravely with the tackle there. Eric Blunt as Winnipeg goes back to the ground again. 13 years, over 16,000 yards. Ronnie Lancaster, George Reed. What a combination on the prairie. And now, 23 years later, Mike Pringle Pringle is the running back making the headlines. But here's Blunt with a big run, and Winnipeg is piling up some yards of their own on the ground this afternoon. Irv Smith, the quarterback, had to make that tackle.
Well, they are running this counter play to perfection. This is actually Montreal's play. They're going to pull the backside guard and tackle. Annunziata and Furdock. Look at Furdock, 58, getting in there. That's getting down low, making the block. Shoulder pad to shoulder pad. This is what you want. Look at the 58. Lower the hat. There it is, baby. That's what you want. Give your back the opportunity to get a seam. Nice job.
And Blunt now 63 yards first half. Here's Payton, and he gets the cop back at the 44. Sack number 16 on the year for SWAC, Alfred Payton.
Well, you know, he's a guy that he was kept off the sheets for a couple games as far as quarterback sacks, and he hates the fact that Munford and Hamilton keeps getting them. This is just a bootleg. They fake. They're going to run the ball the other way. They hope to suck your defensive lineman in or make him read the flow. Slide into the line. He doesn't. He stays exactly where he's supposed to, which means on the contained position on the quarterback, results in a quarterback sack.
2nd and 16, Winnipeg. Everybody into the formation, and a pass from Matt DeBuck, incomplete down at the 5. We'll bring up 3rd down.
But I tell you, he just does a nice job. Troy Kopp sits in a pocket. You can see Alfred Payton swats Furtick, comes inside. He steps up nicely. This is a veteran move, and rifles a football on a rope just about a foot too far for DeBuck. But I like where he's going, and he's making the right reads. That's the big thing you want to see out of your quarterback, and he's actually doing that very well right now.
And Kopp showing some irritation at the bench because it looked like somebody ran the wrong pattern. And, well, the confusion at the Winnipeg bench is getting our attention. They had an extra man on the field, but now have the right alignment for a 50-yard Troy Westwood field goal attempt. And he just misses to the right. And Chris Wright's going to bring it out. And here's Wright. A lot of room up the sidelines. And Bob Cameron had to lower his shoulder. And finally, Wright is brought down. Sean Millington with the tackle. It's a 66-yard return of the missed field goal by Westwood.
What's new for lunch at Tim Hortons? Our sandwiches. New Tim's Own home-style sandwiches are made with a freshly baked country bun. That's new. And we've added tomato. That's new, too. We even have our own creamy new dressing. It all adds up to a whole new sandwich. From Black Forest ham and Swiss to garden vegetable. There are 6 new varieties to choose from. Made fresh and fast for you. New Tim's Own sandwiches. The home-style sandwich that's making a lot of news.
I'm freezing. Try thinking about something hot.
Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich is seasoned with a blend of pepper and spices, so you'll feel warm all over.
Come on, man. Tell me what you're thinking about. You mind if I open the window?
When you're hot, you're hot.
You need an overall knowledge of television production. That's beginning to end, soup to nuts.
Well, I worked on the yearbook committee.
College?
Maybe someday.
Can you start right away?
Made in Canada, Monday at 8:30 on CBC.
Chris Wright returned that missed field goal 66 yards, but all for naught. The flipping call has brought the football back inside the Montreal 10.
Well, you can see he gets a nice thing. He tries to get to the wall to the outside there, and you can see Charbonneau, we've talked about him a lot. He's made some good plays. Well, that was a clip right there. He got called with the pushing on the back, number 51, Grant Carter, and it's all for naught. And Bob Cameron will be a little disappointed because that was a nice job of making a move on Alfred Payton and coming back and making the play.
Cameron was going to have to do it because after Troy Westwood's hit a couple weeks ago, Westwood's not going to make that tackle. with a 10-point lead as Tracy Ham hands the ball off to Pringle. Look at that move. Vintage Pringle up across the 20 to the 24. Mike Pringle has passed 2,000 yards, and he's also passed Leo Lewis on the all-time CFL list. He now ranks 4th all-time on the Canadian Football League rushing list.
And the nicest thing about this is Mike Pringle is designed to go to the left side behind Okeke and Birchville. He cuts it back. That is not taught. That's just reaction.
10 carries, 58 yards this afternoon. And play stopped before Ham could get it underway.
Time violation, Montreal number 8.
Dave Ritchie said he would leave Ham and Pringle in today as long as this game was in doubt. Alouettes racked up 24 straight points and looked like they might be on their way to a lopsided win, but that last drive by Winnipeg changes the complexion of things. 1st and 15 for Ham. Looking downfield, looking for Davis, and he's got it. Tyree Davis with his biggest catch in the Canadian Football League over Reggie Carson.
And what a beautiful throw by Tracy Ham. On the money to Tyree Davis, who's just flying. He is in a fly pattern. Take a look at him right there. He's got Brandon Hamilton. He splits him. And Carthon, the ball is laid perfectly. You couldn't walk out in the field and put it any better in his hands. Nice catch, nice throw, big play.
57 yards. And the Alouettes are all the way down to the Winnipeg 34. Pringle. And Mike Pringle has 9 more before they stack them up. Aaron Collins in the midst of this. One great running back on the field. And another watching at our studios in Calgary. And Mark Lee will talk to the great George Reed at halftime. And that'll be fun to listen to.
Well, you know, I got a chance to meet him a lot, Chris. He was involved. He was president of the Players Association for a number of years, and he's a guy that's so involved with this league, cares so much about this league, that it's almost like he's never left it.
Pringle left side. Stacked up there. First down, however. Glenn Scribner bringing him down. Exactly 3 minutes remaining in the first half at Molson Stadium. On the day Mike Pringle went over 2,000.
You can't touch this. You can't touch this. You can't touch this. Can't touch this.
Introducing the all-new 225 horsepower Acura TL. Nothing else can touch it. Acura, designed with purpose, driven.
Witness the ease of Purolator's automated shipping software. Just point and click. Purolator shipping software calls in your shipment and even fills out your way bills. It's as easy as a couple of clicks of a mouse. Purolator makes shipping the easiest part of your day. Call now to learn how you can get your free shipping software.
Glenn Scribner still getting attention.
Well,
nose tackle.
You know, and he just kind of gets caught in a pile right here. As the play's actually over, and he kind of shuttles it down, and guys are still coming from behind him 100 miles an hour. He gets caught.
Looks like Grant Carter ended up on the top of the pile, and Scribner, who's had the history of knee problems, up and headed for the Winnipeg bench. Grant Carter, who was former Alouette and a leader on this Winnipeg defense. Trying to limit the damage right now as the Alouettes are threatening 1st and 10 inside the Winnipeg 25. Ham, end zone, Armstrong, easy pitch and catch.
Well, I tell you what, you're going to have to change up your defensive look a little bit, or Tracy Ham is going to eat you up all day. This is just a simple case of recognizing the coverage. Tracy Ham sitting back there, knowing the defensive backs are playing man. The safety is up. It's a cover zero protection. The middle is therefore wide open. Chris Armstrong just cuts it back in the middle where it's vacated. Touchdown. Just like playing catch in the park.
Armstrong's 6th touchdown of the year. And the extra point makes it a 31-14 Alouette lead.
And you know, Chris, I like what Winnipeg's done on the line. I like what they do, but I think one of the things they're going to have to do.
I went straight at it. He ran off the hash?
Yep.
Mo got number 2, wasn't he? Yep, Mo just ran off the hash. I went straight.
And you know, one of the things you can hear him talking about, but usually when the safety sits back in the middle, he's that extra guy, Al, the Benny Thompson I used to play with, who would put the fear of God as you came across the middle. If your safety's vacated, it's open, your receivers are going to have a field day. There's no fear factor to cut it back into the middle, and that's exactly what Chris Armstrong did on that play.
Straight to the hand. I can't find it. I don't know. These guys were 48. Yeah. Ooh, I brought it right back.
You know you're in good shape when you can't find the guy who's supposed to be covering him. And Armstrong wide open for the touchdown. That's 2 more touchdown passes for Tracy Ham this afternoon. He has 21 on the year, and he has missed a lot of action with an injury. So it's been an impressive year for Ham. And the warning signals are going out to the rest of the league when Ham looks as sharp as he does.
Well, he definitely does look sharp, and he definitely is, you know, he's such a veteran. He understands so much of what's there. He's been doing it for so long, he just can read defenses.
Eric Blunt on the kickoff return. Alouettes have done a good job. The Hamilton Tiger Cats certainly made a statement on Friday night with their lopsided win over Toronto to nail down first place in the East. Gary Hoffman was the first to say he expected Montreal to try and make a statement of their own this afternoon.
Well, most definitely. I mean, momentum is a big thing. I mean, last night we watched Toronto, and I mean, they just did not look like the same Toronto team, and I really think that they really are still suffering the effects of the last game they played against Montreal last week, the physicalness of it, and that Hamilton took full advantage of it and wore them out. Laid a lick on him.
Dylan McCullough, the ball carrier, not much there for him on the right side. And it was the Hamilton Tiger Cats with, we talked about well-balanced offense. Ronald Williams running the ball, Danny McManus distributing it. And we're seeing Montreal do much the same. It's going to be an interesting battle next week when Montreal visits Ivor Wynne to wrap up the regular season. 2nd and nearly 10 for Kopp. Short completion. Not much doing there. Dylan McCullough nailed immediately by Hensey Charles. Into the game as an extra deep back and the leader in special teams tackles in the CFL.
And just a nice job of giving them the short outlet pass. You know, they realize that Kopp's going to look down. If he can't find none, he's got to go to his outlet pass. Give it to him. We'll limit the gain to 3 or 4 yards, tackle him, make him punt the football. They ran it to perfection.
Bob Cameron's had 1 block today. Chris Wright awaiting the punt at his 20. And Wright dancing around and has a return of 8 after a 50-yard punt by Bob Cameron.
Well, Bob is, how many years is Bob? Bob is 19 years in the league. I played with him my whole career. He's still playing. He used to, a couple years ago, he tried to fool the guys by putting Grecian in his hair, thinking he looked younger. But then he got so much drywall dust in it because he always works on his houses he owns. I mean, he's played this is his 323rd consecutive game. He's actually played 327 games. That's actually a lifetime. I just moved ahead of his an old buddy, Miles Gorell, who played 321 games. So, I mean, there's a couple of legends.
We're supposed to be unbiased, but I'm a big fan of anybody still older than me that's in the league. Thomas Haskins, the ball carrier for Montreal. Well, 51 to go in this.
You know, the funny thing is, and I'm going to get back on Bob, because I asked Bob, I said, Bob, are you going to play again next year? And you know what his retort is? If Louis Passaglia stays, I stay. So they must have a joint package worked out.
Louis, my other favorite player. He credits Jeff Fisher, the Winnipeg trainers, for an individual training program that has helped him have one of his best years in the league. There's a pass out in the flat, caught by Davis. And he's going to be short of the first down. But Mike Pringle is out of the offensive set right now for the Montreal Alouettes, and you wonder with a 17-point lead if we're going to see Mr. Pringle again this afternoon.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we all knew that they wanted to get Pringle the record. But look at the protection here. Watch OKK 51 on 51 Grant Carter. Watch Bergevall on Joe Fleming. That's just a nice job of opening up the lane for your quarterback to throw the football. And you're right, Chris. You know, with this lead and the halftime, they're going to go in there, and the coaches are going to probably sit down together and discuss just how long they want to keep Tracy Ham in the game or anybody else of importance, because they know next week will be a very physical game. Not that this one's over, but next week will be a physical game, and then the playoffs start.
Short kick. Blunt allowing it to bounce around there, and he'll get the no yards call as he stepped out at the 37. Looked like Brian Clark was in that 5-yard restraining area.
No yards. Montreal 21. First down.
In reserve Smith as we join Mark.
Well, Chris, Troy Kopp has since made up with his receiver Matt DeBuck, but 2 series ago he had to be physically removed from DeBuck in a heated argument on the bench. And what Kopp was upset about was the route that DeBuck ran. He wanted a post route, and DeBuck was going too deep and, of course, couldn't reach the pass. He's a surfer, he's a competitor, he's got a little Dunnigan in him, and he was fired up.
See what he does here from the 42. And Eric Blunt with a big gain off the left side, but the flag is down behind the play, and it's coming back.
Well, they're going to call holding on it, but I tell you, they've been running this play to perfection. I mean, this is just a counter play, just pulling the backside guard and tackle. They've been doing it both ways.
Winnipeg 25, first down repeated.
But the key to the play is still a point of attack. Sean Millington has to set the post. So he's going to be up at the top of the screen. He's got to hold him. He gets called, dragging the man down, the defensive end down. It's a tough block when you're on an island out there, and you got to kind of stalemate that guy, and your defensive lineman is trying to get away from you.
You mentioned the name Millington, and we haven't seen him carry the ball today, which is strange enough, but even more so when you consider he had 146 yards in the last meeting against Montreal.
Well, you know what? You can talk to this guy. He is a professional. He's got pride. He is not happy with how he's being used right now. You know, the first couple of games he said, you know, I'll be the consummate pro. I'll do what it takes to help this football team win. Now he's at the point he's saying, I've got to start showcasing what I can do so that I have a job next year. I mean, they're paying him big dollars. So what he wants to do is, as you say, he wants to carry the ball. Give me an opportunity to showcase myself. Let me help the team the way I know I can. And he's not getting that opportunity. He's becoming very frustrated.
Millington comes out now because it's 2nd and 20, a passing situation for Kopp. DeBuck and Travis Anderson in motion to the left side. 5 receivers out. Over the middle, running, brings it down, and has a first down. As running with his first catch up to midfield, and the safety, William Loftus, has to make the tackle. A 23-yard pickup, and Kopp in the hurry-up offense with 58 seconds to go.
They're running the hurry-up offense. What I like about this is that ball is in the air before running turns to see the football, and he makes a nice snag of just turning his head, the ball's there and catching it.
And a 100-yard game against Calgary last week. Here's a quick out, and Stiegel steps out at the 48 and will stop the clock at 49 seconds to go first half.
And you know, Chris, when you run hurry-up offense, you really limit what you're going to do. So your quarterback's got to get that read now. Bam, it's got to be there. He is showing great poise and delivery of the football right now.
Fifth quarterback utilized by Winnipeg this year, and a rookie that didn't even have the luxury of a training camp to establish himself in this league. Second and 3. Rush on, looks deep, looks for running, and neatly knocked down by Baron Miles, who Dave Ritchie feels should get plenty of consideration as the Rookie of the Year in the CFL.
Oh, this is an exceptional coming back to the football. You can see Mitch running, coming right in your TV screen. He's going to cut it off to the corner. Now he's got 2 steps on him, but watch the closing speed here. That is just a great vertical and timing, anticipation, pure athletic ability of getting your hand up and not interfering with the receiver. Nice job by Baron Miles.
Out of Nebraska, Miles made the play. Rashawn Giddings was bearing down on Kopp, and third down, and they're going for it with 43 seconds to go. Short drop Kopp, and he throws incomplete to Stiegel.
Well, this is one of those times we talked about Kopp, precision throws, making the right reads. That was the right read. He wanted to go to Stiegel all the way, but he anticipated Stiegel, keep coming toward the sideline. Stiegel's turn, stopped, stayed there. As a result, the pass went too far. It went to where he thought he would be, not where he actually was.
So the ball turned over on downs by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Came into the game with 62 turnovers on the season. Next worst was Edmonton at 48. So that's 1 turnover a game more than the next worst team in the CFL, and that really sums up Winnipeg's year. Here's Armstrong getting outside and getting out of bounds with 31 seconds left on the clock.
And they have to watch because, as a result, this is a great effort by Armstrong, taking it to the outside, making a little freeze move on Ferguson to get to the outside. But one more first down, and they moved the ball a little bit. They got an opportunity to kick a field goal.
Kopp's one of those quarterbacks that wears his emotions on his sleeve. Mike Pringle has checked back in to the Montreal offense. Ham with time, looking for Armstrong, and it is incomplete. Maurice Kelly had the ball and almost had it stolen again by Armstrong.
And there's a case of having the safety sit deep, not coming in shallow. So when Armstrong, who scored the touchdown, cuts into the middle, there's somebody there. Exact same play they scored a touchdown on before in the end zone. This time, as Tracy tries to hit Chris Armstrong, Maurice Kelly is where he should be, and his depth makes the play and almost comes up with the interception.
24 seconds left in the opening half for Montreal. And Ham has some room, and he's going to run. And a neat move past David Maeva to get the first down.
Well, you're right, Chris. That is a very nice move. But sometimes you make your move, you hurt yourself, and it looks like Tracy Ham may have twisted his knee or his ankle as he attempted to make that shake and bake move on David Maeva.
And in this game, priority one, almost more than the win, is keeping Tracy Ham and Mike Pringle healthy.
Oh, big time. And we talked about it. Jock Climbing talked about it. This whole team knows.
Galvillo would come into the game 14 seconds left on the clock, and the whole complexion of the afternoon changes now for the Montreal Alouettes.
Well, you can see him right here. He's going to come. He's going to just turn now. As he does right there, he does a little stumble step, little stutter step to try and come back in, catches it. Turf is very sticky on turf shoes. It's not like running around your bedroom slippers on the oak floor. This time, when you're doing stuff like this, your feet catch, you stumble, and something will pop. We can only hope that it's just a little bit of a sprain or a mild pull.
He's had a chronic knee problem, and it looks like potentially an aggravation of that.
You know, and they are actually in a, I don't want to say a luxurious position, but they are in a good position for Trace Ham, and the fact that they don't necessarily have to play him next week. So he can rest next week for the playoffs.
That's the competitor in him. He had a wide open field ahead of him. Looked like he didn't want to go, but not much turf in front of you, and Ham took off.
Well, you know, and he's getting into the later stages of his career, but that's not to say he's not a fine quarterback. He is. But last week was evidence of that. You know, he only ran the ball 4 times for 6 yards last week. He's more reluctant to take off with it than he used to be in his earlier years. And he looks like, you know, he is favoring that quite...
Boy, this could be devastating for the Alouettes' Grey Cup aspirations. As Ham makes his way slowly to the Montreal bench, and Calvillo takes over. First down. One play perhaps, and now Calvillo drops the ball. That's loose, and Aaron Collins has it, and look at this. Collins is going to score. Touchdown for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on the final play of the first half. 61 yards.
Well, we've got it. I tell you, they just keep playing Winnipeg's defense, and they know that Montreal is going to be let down a little bit, not only with the fact that Tracy got hurt, but the fact that they had a comfortable lead going into halftime. You relax, these things will happen. All of a sudden, they got pressure, they got 2 people right in Calvillo's face right away. He tries to throw the football, but unfortunately doesn't throw it, loses control of the football, becomes a free ball on a fumble, and it is run into the end zone by Aaron Collins.
Tyrone Rogers and Glenn Scribner were bearing down on Anthony Calvillo, and Aaron Collins scooped up the loose football. In his second game with the Bombers, after being picked up from the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Westwood adds the extra point. Strange things happen when these 2 teams play, and that has continued this afternoon. A couple of block punts, and now this fumble recovery by Collins, and a 61-yard touchdown romp to end the first half.
High overhead costs can cause shock among unsuspecting small business owners. To avoid serious injury, follow these techniques. Lay the victim flat on the floor and raise their head. Practice relaxing breathing techniques. Call Bell for the Advantage Per Call Savings Plan. Your business can call anywhere in Canada, anytime, for just 35 cents a call for up to 10 minutes. Call 1-877-4-per-call to enroll.
We know teachers work hard, but in today's world, everyone's working a bit harder. Until now, high school teachers taught for 3 hours and 45 minutes a day. We've asked them to teach another 25 minutes. That's still 10 minutes less than elementary school teachers, and they still find time for sports and school plays. 25 more minutes. It's not a lot to ask. Bringing teaching times up to the national average is just one of Ontario's new education standards, province-wide standards based on putting kids first. A message from the Government of Ontario.
Slapshot. There's always been one place that satisfies. Canadian Tire.
Whatever it is.
Is it any wonder why Canadian Tire is still the right place to do it?
I'm freezing. Try thinking about something hot.
Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich is seasoned with a blend of pepper and spices, so you'll feel warm all over.
Come on, man. Tell me what you're thinking about. You mind if I open the window?
When you're hot, you're hot.
What's bugging you?
And about 50 cockroaches fell down into the sink.
Got a problem? Maybe the Gripe Line can help.
So I coach you, the Gripe Line.
Call the Gripe Line at 255-3419.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by Bell, connecting you to the people, places, and things that matter.
Welcome back to Montreal on Mike Pringle's day. His Alouettes leading the Winnipeg Blue Bombers by 10 at the half, 31-21. Well, this has been a record-breaking season in the CFL, to say the least, and most notably, perhaps, Mike Pringle. Today, breaking his own single-season rushing mark and becoming the first man in CFL history over 2,000 yards. Some say Pringle's the best running back in the league. Others with a long memory, though, say that distinction still belongs to George Reed. Who's the greatest? George Reed, the man for the ages, or the modern-day Mike Pringle? At a time in the CFL when the passing game rules, Pringle is a throwback to a bygone era. His single-season record, his spree of 100-yard games this year will be hard to match. Pringle's up-the-gut style is reminiscent of the legendary George Reed. The CFL's all-time leading rusher has carried the football further than anyone in history. No running back has had the career like Reed, but no one has had the year like Pringle. So who's the best?
George Reed was the best running back that played during my time, during the 60s and early 70s. He thrived on work. Teams set out to stop George Reed as the running back and didn't have a lot of success doing that. And he proved it over a number of years.
When I had Pringle with Baltimore, I don't think that I totally appreciated how good that he really was. But I think that even since Baltimore, I've learned to appreciate him even more as a football player, because what he did last week against our football team, against the strength of our football team, was nothing short of amazing.
In those days, we didn't have any blocking backs for George. We just had the offensive line. They'd open a hole, and he would make the linebackers make the tackle. George is a great guy for 4 or 5 yards. Pringle's a guy that can bust every one of them in the distance. I don't know who I'd take, but if I had a backfield with both of them, I think he'd have a tough time stopping us.
And so the debate continues and will be ongoing for sure. We were hoping to have George Reed live from our Calgary studios. Unfortunately, there has been a fire alarm at the Calgary CBC station, and George Reed has been forced to vacate our studio. Hopefully, we'll get him back. Mike Pringle, though, has played 7 years in the CFL. The average lifespan is 4.5 years. Whether or not he can get to 13 years, the career span for George Reed is still up for grabs, considering that the players are bigger and the artificial turf they now play on takes a huge toll. Let's throw this discussion up for grabs to the boys in the booth. Chris Cuthbert, Chris Walby standing by. Who do you guys think is the best running back in the league? Is it Pringle or is it Reed?
Well, we may have to rate them on a different level, because obviously George's durability over 13 years and the total yards, 16,000, are records I don't think that can be broken unless Mike Pringle plays for 5 or 6 more years, which is possible. But nobody's been more explosive and more dominant over this period of time, a 5-year period.
Well, I think 2 things. I think Coach Lancaster now handled it with such diplomacy. They're both great running backs. But I think if you look back in '92, Mike Pringle with the Edmonton Eskimos, 6 carries, 114 yards. Was that a sign of greatness starting right there? So, I mean, here's a guy, 7 years, 88 yards, 8,888 yards in 7 years. George Reed, over 16,013, both exceptional, and I use that word diligently, exceptional running backs.
Mark, back then they used to run the ball a lot. This isn't supposed to be a running league anymore, but Mike Pringle makes us think about that as another way.
Indeed, he's a Man from a bygone era, and the polls are still open. Who do you think's the best back, Pringle or Reed? Call us at 1-900-565-9999. It's Montreal by 10 at the half at Molson Stadium.
Oh my, look at the time. We've been talking about you forever.
Sprint Canada has introduced a new long-distance plan that's changed everything.
I guess we can talk about me now, you know, the other day.
Now you can talk all you want for up to 800 minutes, evenings and weekends, to anywhere in Canada for just $20 a month or less. Call Sprint Canada at 1-800-THE-MOST today.
So you never have to say goodbye.
Well, you know what? I hate to tell you this, but I think you're putting on a little weight.
Unless you really want to.
We know teachers work hard, but in today's world, everyone's working a bit harder. Until now, high school teachers taught for 3 hours and 45 minutes a day. We've asked them to teach another 25 minutes. That's still 10 minutes less than elementary school teachers, and they still find time for sports and school plays. 25 more minutes. It's not a lot to ask. Bringing teaching times up to the national average is just one of Ontario's new education standards, province-wide standards based on putting kids first. A message from the Government of Ontario.
Tired of having it their way? Have it your way at Burger King. Hold the pickle, hold the lettuce, special orders don't upset us. All we ask is that you let us serve it your way. Yeah! Oh, yeah. Have it your way, have it your way. When you have it your way, Canada, it just tastes better.
I knew right away, yeah, that there was nothing to it. I could do it. I could tell right away, oh boy, even I could do it. I could do it, yeah.
Sure, you can do it, and Canadian Tire can help with everything you need at a price you'll like. Is it any wonder why Canadian Tire is still the right place to do it?
Welcome to Pro Tips. Let's talk about pressure. The pressure of being a field goal kicker. With us today, one of the finest field goal kickers in the Canadian Football League, Mr. Sean Fleming.
Thanks, Chris. Today we've got Kevin with us. He's a local kicker here with the Bantam Seahawks. Kevin's a straight-on style kicker like Dave Cutler was. We won't mention that, though. But today I'm going to show him how to soccer-style kick with field goals. So, Kevin, why don't you come up here? Do exactly what I do. 3 steps back, and then what we do is we point directly in the middle of the goalpost. And we take 2 steps over. Have your left toe pointing at the ball. Keep your head down, think positive, and kick through. There we go, right down the middle, and that's what we want. Good job. All right.
Another great tip. Field goal kickers are so important. Listen, you may not want to hang around with them, but every team needs one. See you next week.
There we go, right through.
Welcome back to Montreal, where a special presentation is underway to Mike Pringle and his family here at center field. Pringle, of course, setting a new single-season rushing record, going over 2,000 yards for the first time in CFL history. He's flanked by his mother, Annie, his wife, Kenya, holding his 1.5-year-old son, Isaiah, and his father, Andrew, in accompaniment here, along with some of his teammates here in Montreal. As they make the announcement, Pringle will be awarded with a special trophy from the team owner, Robert Wetnall, GM Larry Smith, along with Coach Dave Ritchie.
Has become the first player in the history of the CFL to rush for over 2,000 yards in one season. Avec des gains de 72 verges au sol durant la première demi du match aujourd'hui, Mike Pringle a amassé des gains de 2034 verges cette saison, dépassant son propre record de 1972 verges au sol en saison régulière. Monsieur Jim Leach, au nom de la Ligue canadienne de football, lui remet un trophée pour ce record. En même temps, pour avoir dépassé...
And now Larry Smith, the general manager of the Alouettes, presenting a portrait
Larry Smith, Jim
of Mike Pringle in action
lui remettent une peinture au nom
in
de
what has been an historic year
de Montréal.
For a running back at 5'9", 190, who was underestimated by some teams, and he himself even doubted that this day might come. There's the owner, Robert Wetnall, congratulating Mike Pringle. A great day for him. The first man over 2,000 yards in CFL history, Mike Pringle, taking time out in this football game to be recognized by his teammates, his family, and his fans. And at the half, it's Montreal 31, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 21. We're back with the second half kickoff in Montreal after this.
And we as farmers have tried to put nature back into nature.
What makes a perfect egg? That's the perfect egg. On our farm, they're all perfect.
I like scrambled eggs and omelets.
This is how I scramble my eggs.
What's good for you in an egg is, I don't know, everything.
Eggs are excellent. Eggs are good for you.
It's all natural.
We take from the land, we put back into the land, and
nature's perfect eggs. It's from our farm.
Eggs, goody goodness.
Go where you wanna go. Find the road you've never taken.
Hey folks, have a look at these Goodyear Eagle Ultra Grips. The new generation of advanced ice radials from Goodyear. Eagle Ultra Grips. Get them. Singers.
Serious freedom. Goodyear, Goodyear.
Who knows snow?
Goodyear.
Those singers know snow.
Yes. I'd like to get some mutual funds. Okay, Mr. Wheeler, you kindly put your head in the vice and we'll get started. Now, when I say the letters FI, I'm referring to bond funds, S equities, and C, well, money markets. Now, let's take a peek at a few of the funds available to you and how their standard deviations compare to their compounded annual returns. Before we calculate...
There is a quick and painless way to get the right mix of mutual funds. Matchmaker, available at Bank of Montreal. It doesn't have to be complicated.
I'm freezing. Try thinking about something hot.
Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich is seasoned with a blend of pepper and spices, so you'll feel warm all over.
Come on, man. Tell me what you're thinking about. You mind if I open the window?
When you're hot, you're hot.
It's the Nissan Come In for a Spin event. Come test drive the luxurious Ultimate. Yours for only $279 a month. Or the brand new limited edition Maxima ES for only $379 a month. So come test drive the new 99s and spin away with a great deal at your Nissan dealer.
I'm afraid the Conservative Party is dead.
Hey, man, what happened to you last night?
Oh, my darling, and don't try to tell me they're just taking a nap.
See you at the beach.
This hour has 22 minutes, Monday at 8 on CBC.
Welcome back to Molson Stadium in Montreal, where the Alouettes lead the Blue Bombers 31-21. As we're just about ready to start the second half, and we have reestablished contact with George Reed in Calgary. And George, thanks for joining us on the broadcast. And I'm wondering what went through your mind as you watched Mike Pringle rush for 2,000 yards, break that magical barrier, the first man to do it in the CFL.
Well, I think it's a great thing. I've been watching Mike, and he puts a lot of heart and a lot of effort into it. And you know, I'd like to be one of the first ones to congratulate him on having another outstanding season and breaking that magical 2,000 yard mark.
George, do you see a little bit of yourself in Mike Pringle?
Well, I think the way he approaches the game and everything, that's what I see. You know, he never gives up. He's always going forward. As far as making yards, he goes north and south, not east and west. And I think that's what you have to do in the league if you want to be a good running back. And he can find the holes, and he makes great use of his offensive linemen.
He does, and he's now into his 7th year. You played 13. Most running backs are lucky to play 4 or 5. How did you sustain yourself over that time?
Well, I guess I was lucky and everything, and I think that hard work always pays off, and I think that probably worked harder in practice than I did on the playing field. And so I think that if you work hard and you approach things with the right demeanor and everything, then I think that you have a chance for longevity. And Mike certainly seems that he keeps himself in great shape, and he works hard. And I think by doing this here, you can be around for a while.
George, in a league that's virtually abandoned the pass in the last 10 years on many teams, you must be happy to see a guy like Pringle on the ground doing what he does.
Well, I think so. It shows you what what can still be done with the running game, and I think it's beginning to prove more and more the teams that have some type of running game will have a better chance of winning football games, especially late in the year. And I think that Montreal has established themselves. I noticed the other night Hamilton is trying to establish the running game. I think in a large part, I think that the Calgary Stampede's success this year has been based being able to run football.
Well, George, it's been a real treat to have both you and Mike Pringle on the same broadcast. It was a thrill for me to watch you as a kid growing up, and it's been a pleasure having you on the show here today. Thanks so much for the interview.
Thank you very much.
George Reed, the all-time leading rusher in the CFL. Now let's go back up to the booth and rejoin Chris Cuthbert and Chris Balby.
And a record, George Reed, that is not likely to be broken in the Canadian Football League. And let me say, if it is broken, it probably will be broken by number 27, but it's going to take 4 or 5 more brilliant Mike Pringle years.
Well, you can see in the first half, I mean, Pringle's 230 yards passing, 79 yards rushing, all of which are Mike Pringle. 309 yards, net yards, and the time possession, even though it's very similar, turnovers played a big part. They had a couple block punts, one for each side, a little bit of mental errors, but all in all, Montreal is getting ready to play.
Mike Pringle stays in the game. The first carry of the second half. Anthony Calvillo is the quarterback, and here again is Mark Lee.
Well, Chris, Tracy Ham right now has his shoulder pads off and his left knee is icy. Standing in the entranceway to the Alouette dressing room. It is the same left knee, the chronically injured knee that he has apparently at least re-sprained. He has a disc degeneration problem in the leg, and at this point it looks like Ham, as you see him standing in the locker room area, will be a bystander for the rest of this game.
There's Tracy. That's good news. He gives us a positive, upbeat look on things.
Well, for those of you who are wondering what happened late in the first half, he tries to cut back and make a move on Maeva, got his knee caught. Kind of buckled on him as he tried to make a move to the inside. The turf doesn't give, something else will, and that play, his knee kind of gave a little bit. But as he just said to us, he's okay, he'll be fine. He's got no crutches, so that's a good sign. He's leaning on his own power just against the door watching the game, and this is more a safety measure more than anything else as well.
And again, Mark.
All right, Tracy Ham again standing by and watching this game. Tracy, a lot of fans just asked me how the knee is. A lot of concern in this ballpark.
Well, it's okay. It's been a reoccurring problem, and when I planted, it just grabbed, and I understand that's what it's going to be for the remainder of the year, and I just got to try to continue to get it to a point where I can tolerate it. Obviously, you know, we got the playoffs coming up, and it's not a concern for the playoffs because I have almost 3 weeks here, 2.5 weeks, so just got to ice it and take care of it.
Does that mean you might sit out the next game against Hamilton?
Well, certainly that. I mean, for me to play in Hamilton I don't think I should do that. I think, you know, just try and get ready for the Toronto playoff game. I need to work. You know, I was getting good work today, but I feel like regardless of how much work I get, I still be okay without it come playoff time.
All right, Tracy, get well soon. Look forward to seeing you in the playoffs.
Thank you very much.
Tracy Ham out, Mike Pringle in, and Winnipeg's defense still fired up.
Well, they played it great. I mean, that's 3rd and short. Tyrone Rogers pushes the guard all the way back to the ball carrier, and they talked about that earlier. They wanted to stop Mike before he got the ball. That time they actually did. Kept him short, turned the ball over.
So a big defensive play turns it over, and Winnipeg goes to work. And here's Eric Blunt. A couple of hard-earned yards for Blunt into that Montreal defense before he's pushed back. Stefan Reed, the middle linebacker. Let's take a look at that 3rd down gamble that came up short for Montreal.
Well, it just comes off, and you're going to see, look at Berchevall gets pushed all the way back. Now, we've been talking about how good their offensive line is. Well, every once in a while, the defensive line is going to get their day, and that was an excellent play by Tyrone Rogers getting the movement there.
This is a fired-up team, considering the record of 2-14. Ha! Rolling left and an open receiver. And Spencer Mclennan, the former Montreal Alouette, has his first catch of the day, 21 yards.
Again, another nice job of Troy Kopp, seeing the pressure, stepping away from it. Forces to roll out by Peterson. Throws off his back foot. And that shows his arm strength right there. I mean, he's throwing off his back foot, going backwards, puts it on a rope. Nice throw. Nice presence of mind to see where he's going to go with the football.
So the Bombers threatening. They're down by 10. Early second half. Pitch left side, Blunt stopped up immediately, and then a flag flies. Stefan Reed, the middle linebacker, once again the first man to beat Blunt. And the flag going against Winnipeg.
Well, the flag will go against Winnipeg. We'll hear the call.
Holding Winnipeg 62. First down repeated.
Well, they don't have a 62, or they do Chris Perez. But I'll tell you what, at the point of attack, they are really making Millington earn his money blocking one-on-one. On that play, he just could not sustain a block of Stefan Reed, who comes in to make the play. It's a nice job of Stefan Reed getting around the tackle.
So they push back the Bombers 10 yards, and it's first and 20 for Kopp and company. And this one's picked off. Reed with the interception. And now it's a foot race. Blunt trying to get back there. Convoy of blockers. And Stefan Reed will score.
Plays in a row. We just talked about the previous play, fighting off a block of Millington to make the tackle on Eric Blunt. Here he's just going to sit at home. He gets his drop. This is a smart move by the middle linebacker. You're running a little crossing route. He's right where he needs to be. Good depth. Great job of anticipation, catching the football, and as you say, big convoy of fellow teammates taking him all the way to the end zone.
Yeah, they had a defensive team meeting on the move downfield.
Yes. I'd like to get some mutual funds. Okay, Mr. Wheeler, you kindly put your head in the vice and we'll get started. Now, when I say the letters FI, I'm referring to bond funds, S equities, and C, well, money markets. Now, let's take a peek at a few of the funds available to you and how their standard deviations compare to their compounded annual returns. Before we calculate...
There is a quick and painless way to get the right mix of mutual funds. Matchmaker, available at Bank of Montreal. It doesn't have to be complicated.
I have an interest in what's going on in sport in this community, and that's because I'm here. What is most gratifying for me is hearing from people who say, I'm not a sports fan, but I like what you people do. The home team attitude is that we satisfy the needs of those people who want to know what's going on over the backyard fence. I like the way we cover amateur sport in this city.
Watch Tony Doucette and the Windsor Evening News Home Team on CBC Television.
Welcome, Dave. Been a long time.
Sure has, Red.
You got a spicy chicken sandwich. But here, try this.
Not bad.
Water?
No, thanks. Now try a Wendy's spicy chicken. Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich is a whole breast fillet seasoned with Dave's own blend of pepper and spices. It's one very delicious, very spicy sandwich.
Please.
Try Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich and long live the king.
Well, this is the second touchdown in the game scored by a Montreal defender, Steve Charbonneau, after a blocked punt. Now this interception by the middle linebacker, Stefan Reed.
Now you just gotta love his depth. That, you know, they teach that. They work on that every day, getting in your drops, getting into your zone coverage. He gets there perfectly, gets the ball, picks it, reads it, and look at the convoy. I mean, it's blue. It's a sea of blue taking him down all the way down to the end zone.
Boy, what a turnaround, though. It was a 10-point game. Winnipeg in scoring position, and now a 17-point Montreal lead. Phelan McCullough with a good return for the Bombers, 32 yards.
Come on, buddy.
And the middle linebacker of Montreal savoring this one with his teammate.
And you got like this. This is really why you wear equipment, because you take a beating after you get it. This guy, they love him as their linebacker, they like him as a teammate. They say he's a real presence.
Third-year player, native of Merritt, BC. And after that long run, he's got to go back out and play defense again. Threw 3 costly interceptions last week, and Chris, most of them were down in the red zone. Here's a completion to Mitch Running, who bounces off one tackle, stopped at the 45, but that's the mark, and it is Stefan Reed again with the tackle after a 21-yard gain. But that's a learning process for a quarterback when he's throwing the interceptions in such a costly place.
He did last week, as we say. He in the red zone. Red zone was a big thing from last week against Calgary. 3 untimely throws. Again, he had the right reads. Didn't put enough pep on the ball last week. But you got to like, he comes back after throwing a touchdown for interception, stands back in the pocket right now, hits Mitch Running with a nice pass right off the bat. That's a sign of a guy that's going to be up and coming.
Here's Sean Millington's first carry of the game. And he's down to the 40, pick up a 5. For Sean Millington, we're still tabulating your votes and still time to cast your ballot for the best running back. Mike Pringle or George Reed? Probably depending on your demographic.
That would be age, yes, that would be the age.
Pass Reed and steps out after the first down.
But you gotta like the way, the resilience, if you will, of the way the Bombers are playing. They blow up, they create all kind of things, misfortunes for themselves through turnovers, through block punts, and throw interceptions. Yet they come back again and they start moving the football again. They have definitely got some nucleus to build for next year.
Eric Blunt's been busy today. Close to matching Mike Pringle's numbers on the afternoon. And he'll get the football again. Oh, that's McCullough this time. Short gain, Tracy Gravely with the tackle. Mike Pringle, 12 consecutive 100-yard games this season. And you wonder about how much work he'll get in the second half to get to his 13th in a row.
Well, I think that they're going to definitely look at it. Just the fact that Tracy got a little banged up, it's got to be in the back of their minds right now to say, you know what, we've got what we wanted. We've got the 2,000 yards. Mike might not want to be pulled, but I think as a coaching staff, give him some rest.
Stefan Reed has gone to the dressing room momentarily. For Montreal, as Pop looks downfield, and that ball knocked away from Milt Stegall. And once again, it's Baron Miles, and he's flashing those Rookie of the Year credentials.
Well, I tell you what, he's got a highlight film going, because I tell you, he's done it a couple times. And that is, he did one on Mitch Running and this one on Milt Stegall. Just a great job of reacting to the football again. I mean, you can't get any better coverage. Nice protection by the Winnipeg offensive line. Throws the ball, but look at the last second. Just getting the hand in there, ripping the ball out of the hands. Milt Stegall, who usually never lets that happen. That's just a sign of, that's just a great play by a great football player right now. And as you say, Chris, I think he is starting to get a lot of recognition. He's going to be turning a lot of heads when the voting starts for the Rookie of the Year.
Westwood nails the 40-yard field goal, and with 7:51 remaining in this third quarter, it's a 14-point Montreal lead.
Are you ready for this? Chrysler presents the Ultimate Rush Contest. On November 8th and 15th, get lined up to watch the CFL on CBC. You can win a trip for 2 to the '98 Grey Cup game from Chrysler. There's no feeling like it, the Ultimate Rush.
Play the All-Star game at McDonald's. Rangers, Rangers. I gotta have a Rangers. I gotta have a Rangers. Come on, Rangers.
Whoa, Leaf, I could use that. I wonder why I can't get a Rangers piece.
Collect all new NHL divisions and you could win a 1999 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo. $9,999 in cash. A trip to the NHL All-Star Game or even a visit with Wayne Gretzky.
Hey, what do you know? I got the Rangers again.
Time to kill some vampires.
A showdown is about to begin between the soldiers of the day and the army of the night.
You can't kill me.
James Woods.
My baby.
John Carpenter's Vampires. Opens everywhere Friday.
Are you ready for this? Chrysler presents the Ultimate Rush Contest. On November 8th and 15th, get lined up to watch the CFL on CBC. You can win a trip for two to the 98 Grey Cup game from Chrysler. There's no feeling like it in the Ultimate Rush.
Troy Westwood's field goal makes it Montreal 38. Winnipeg 24. Westwood shaking off the ill effects of this hit 2 weeks ago. Robert Brown of the Eskimos drilling him as Westwood, the kicker, was leading the blocking after a wide field goal. Some of his own lineman teammates says it serves him right. Kicker shouldn't be downfield, Ludo.
Well, I'll tell you what, you won't see him covering this one. He'll kick and he'll stay back. He is definitely what they call the safety, the last man back.
That was Rashawn Giddings, one of the up men, with the return from Montreal. And it's nice to see Troy Westwood in the lineup because after that hit, I thought his season was over.
Well, he's not, you know what, after that, he kicks the ball. He's got about a 10-yard area he's going to stay with. He's not going to cross that line. He's just going to run laterally and say, okay, if he's coming toward me, he's gone.
He still looks sore.
But he's a tough kid. I mean, here's a kid they thought had bruised his liver, broken ribs first, then they thought maybe cracked ribs. He was not going to let anybody even come in and attempt to try and kick a field goal in practice.
That was like getting hit by a truck. Calvillo downfield and has Armstrong. And Anthony Calvillo trying to get something positive going. A 27-yard completion. Remember, Calvillo comes in with final play of the first half, fumbles the ball, they score. They were stopped on a third down gamble earlier in the third quarter, and finally they've got something going offensively.
Well, he definitely needs to get some confidence back. If you remember the last time we saw him, he started the first game of the Toronto back-to-back series, was 5 for 14 through a couple early interceptions, got pulled, so he wasn't really on his game, so they need him now to pick it up a notch.
Here's Pringle trying the left side and nailed out of bounds at about the 28 by Aaron Collins.
And a nice job of scraping to the outside by the newcomer. Reads the play, gets to the outside, and limits the game to 4 yards. Here's a guy that just comes in, as we mentioned earlier, one of 19 children. Has a brother playing professional football in the National Football League who bought a house for his father. So his father didn't have to work anymore. He finally allowed him to retire. You'd think he'd be able to after that many kids. I mean, just one of those nice stories.
Calvillo audibling at the line and dropping back into the shotgun. And out of the backfield, Jock Climby dropped the ball. Incomplete. Climby in front of Nick Ferguson. And it will be third down.
And the difference you'll see in quarterbacking is two different styles. Tracy Ham sees the cover zero where the safety is playing tight to the line of scrimmage. He gets his receivers, or he audibilizes where the receivers take it and bring it inside to the vacant area. Here, Calvillo sees that cover zero, safety again up tight. He's trying to hit the guys going to the outside. It's a harder throw.
That's a good call. He got what he wanted. He just dropped the ball. He got exactly what he wanted. He got what he got to the call.
Terry Baker in to attempt a 35-yarder. And Baker makes it good. And quarterback Tracy Ham docking it up with Chris Armstrong.
You can't touch this. You can't touch this. You can't touch
touch this. Can't touch this.
Introducing the all-new 225 horsepower Acura TL. Nothing else can touch it. Acura, designed with purpose, driven by passion.
Play the All-Star game at McDonald's.
Rangers, I gotta have a Rangers. Come on, Rangers.
Wow, Leaf, I can use that. I wonder why I can't get a Rangers piece.
Collect all new NHL divisions and you could win a 1999 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo. $9,999 in cash. A trip to the NHL All-Star game or even a visit with Wayne Gretzky.
Hey, what do you know? I got the Rangers again.
It's been a wild afternoon here at Molson Stadium as the Montreal Alouettes try to post their 11th victory of the year. Winnipeg Blue Bombers winless on the road this season. But they've made it interesting this afternoon and plenty of time left.
Well, they got a field goal in their last drive. They moved it all the way down the field again. They've done that a lot. Unfortunately, at times they've thrown crucial interceptions, as evidenced by the touchdown by Stephon Reed. But they keep coming. They keep plugging away, and that's a sign of a team that's building.
Eric Blunt out to the 38. And the Montreal defense comes onto the field. There's Doug Peterson, who was in the middle of it last week, ejected from the Toronto game for this incident, spitting in the face of Kerwin Bell. At first, Peterson was defiant, but later in the week, after the ejection, apologized and then was fined by the Canadian Football League $1,000. There was an incident like that in the NFL last week, Chris. You've rolled around in the muck in the CFL trenches over the years. Is it common? Is it unusual?
Well, that's uncommon to show it to that extent where you're right there in front of everybody and the referee's walking side by side with you. But I tell you what, it really does happen a lot.
Montreal 94, first down repeated.
And that is Doug Peterson.
Well, at least he's not spitting this time. But I tell you what, a lot of times you'll see in a pile of guys, a guy will get up and he'll drop something in your face. It happens a lot with different individuals, but there's ways to take care of it. You'll basically go after it. You'll try and chop his knees. And I tell you what, word spreads around the league pretty quickly if you're one of those guys.
First and 5, Winnipeg. McCullough shook the first tackle of Alfred Payton, who made the initial contact, but McCullough just gets back to the line of scrimmage if he's lucky.
Now, you know, Chris, you talk about Peterson, you say, yeah, he has an event like that, had a great game last week. Let's not take away from what he did do on the football field. Here's a guy who had 2 sacks, 2 tackles last week. As a matter of fact, the last 2 games has got 4 quarterback sacks. You know, Dave Ritchie loves him. He thinks he's probably the best defensive lineman, bar nationality, in the Canadian Football League.
But Dave Ritchie didn't approve of what happened last week, and he let Peterson know. But you're right. That's the unfortunate thing. Doug Peterson's had a brilliant year, and unfortunately, a lot of people are going to only think about him for what happened last week.
You're right about that. And you know, it's hard to condone that because you can't. And it will affect some people who look at him in different ways. There is no room for it, but he is a hard-nosed football player. And that game, not in his defense, was one of the hardest hitting football games that I've seen in a number of years. Those are 2 teams that definitely, that's Toronto and Montreal, do not like each other. And that's going to be an exciting playoff game between those 2 guys.
2 weeks from today, the Argos will be here for the Eastern Semi. It's 3rd and almost 2 yards. Winnipeg not going to gamble, and Bob Cameron is in. Chris Wright is deep for the Alouettes. And the ball will hop out of bounds at the 18-yard line. A 46-yard punt by the veteran Bob Cameron. 4:09 left in the third quarter.
Meet Cody, a member of the War Amps Champ program. Cody lost his arm in a machinery accident. Cody knows the world is full of dangers to avoid. He has a message for all kids.
Spot the danger before you play. Play safe.
The CFL is a proud supporter of the War Amps Play Safe program.
Marvelous afternoon in Montreal in late October. Great football weather and an entertaining game between the Alouettes and the Blue Bombers. Anthony Calvillo at the controls, and he rolls out. And Calvillo runs into the awaiting arms of Joe Fleming, who takes him to the turf. And Calvillo with the gain of 4. Mike Pringle, 79 yards today, and he's still seething. Everybody talked about David Archer and Doug Peterson last week, but he doesn't think, and the Alouettes don't feel, that this incident got enough attention in the media or by the league office.
Well, he was overshadowed by the fact that he had played so well that everyone wanted to talk about his 234 yards rushing. And we kind of didn't give any spin or any yardage or mileage out of the fact that he had his face unceremoniously pushed into the turf. But you're right, he's very upset, and he's going to be so fired up. I still think he sees Argonauts in his sleep right now. And I know he's running against the Winnipeg defense, and he'll be going against Hamilton next week. But he wants that return match. That's the one he's thinking of right now.
Ben Cahoon's catch gives the Alouettes a first down at their own 40. Calvillo ducked under the first wave, gets outside, and then Aaron Collins punishes him back at the 35. And you're right, this Winnipeg defense just keeps coming at Montreal.
They have not quit all year. One of the things that is characteristic of this football team, even that's not indicative of the record, is they just do not quit. They will give you 110% the whole game. They may not end up on the right side of the scoreboard, but they just keep coming. And Joe Fleming is indicative of this. The newcomer Aaron Collins. I mean, there's Joe Fleming, 12 quarterback sacks. Drafted by St. Louis Blues. We talked about the fact he's got a hockey background. Just a great athlete. Never puts any tape on his hands. Just pure toughness.
Doc Climby close to a first down, but he's going to come up a couple of yards short. He had to get across the 50. And it's going to be third down, and some of the fans here at McGill already urging Dave Ritchie to go for it. But the punt unit's coming on.
Well, Dave's not going to take any chances right now. He says we're playing solid football both on all our games, all facets of the game. Let's just take care of what we got to take care of. That means if it's third and short, they got 2 yards to go, we'll punt it like we normally would. Get down, let our defense go on the field and go to work.
Eric Blunt back to accept this punt, and they almost got that one on Terry Baker. They got Terry Baker. And a flag down, contacting the kicker, will negate that return by Blunt. Milt Stiegel looking for the second punt block of the afternoon for Winnipeg.
Contacting the kicker, Winnipeg 85, first down.
Well, good call, Chris. They're trying to go back.
Tell Milt Stiegel that.
Bring the pressure, you know, and get the result they had in the first quarter when they blocked the punt by Baker. He gets a snap, puts it off. Well, that there, I tell you what, that's an Academy Award right there. They ought to get it. They gave a trophy to Pringle at halftime. They better get another one made right now for Terry Baker, because that's ACTRA Award. This guy will be in the soaps next year. My God. Milt, you have every right to be upset with that one.
Yes, upon further review. But the Alouettes have a first down, and they're in the Winnipeg territory now at 52. Blitz, Calvillo got it away, Climby, boy, he got nailed. But hung on, Nick Ferguson with the hit as Climby was jarred out of bounds.
Well, Nick Ferguson is a story in himself. I mean, here's a guy quietly, solid on the corner, 52 tackles, no interceptions. A lot of quarterbacks don't like to throw his way, but he's a great hitter. He's the one that, if you remember, put the big lick on Kerwin Bell, knocked his helmet off a couple times. First time Winnipeg played Winnipeg at home. Very intimidating player on the corner.
Nice sidearm toss there by Calvillo. It's 2nd and 6. And there's Pringle reeling off more yards as he gets close to another 100-yard afternoon. Let's listen in on Grant Carter now as he tries to bring down the top running back.
Roger, Roger, Roger. Red, red, red. Red, red, red. Go on, Joe. Go on, Joe.
Well, that's a good play. What they're doing on that play, when he makes a certain call, he's telling Joe Fleming, the inside guy, that he's got to go to the outside. He's got contained, which that means that Grant Carter is going to fall off in coverage of anybody leaking out of the backfield. He's done it, and he runs out to the backside. Joe goes to the outside. That's perfect timing. You want to work that, and that's some of the calls that you're going to get when you play defensive line.
End of 3 quarters in Montreal.
It's fully loaded with 16-inch alloy wheels, automatic climate control, CD stereo, heated sports seats. And of course, ABS brakes. All at a price that'll attract anyone who appreciates the value of a dollar. Introducing the limited edition Maxima ES.
We know teachers work hard, but in today's world, everyone's working a bit harder. Until now, high school teachers taught for 3 hours and 45 minutes a day. We've asked them to teach another 25 minutes. That's still 10 minutes less than elementary school teachers, and they still find time for sports and school plays. 25 more minutes. It's not a lot to ask. Bringing teaching times up to the national average is just one of Ontario's new education standards, province-wide standards based on putting kids first. A message from the Government of Ontario.
Carter on the right trying to rev up the Winnipeg defense as they try to shut down Montreal. And on that last play, Carter had some words for Jock Climby.
There it is, baby. There it is, Climby. The big wall, baby. Oh, I was there. That's why he came off you, baby. That's why he came off you. You were not a threat.
I'll tell you what, that's a little bit like WWF going on there. Wait for the rematch.
And Jock saying, get me the football.
That's right.
4th quarter about to begin. How about this stat for Winnipeg on the season now? Through 15 games, they have yet to score an offensive touchdown in the 3rd quarter. 3 points in the 3rd quarter this afternoon. Montreal starts the 4th quarter with the ball and pressure on Calvillo, and Joe Fleming has his 13th sack of the year.
Well, they're just bringing everybody on this one. They're just tying it up. Let's get after it. And they just keep coming, as you say. Joe Fleming just works so hard. I mean, he just arm over. Probably got one of the nicest swim moves. Just goes around his man, Brian Shue, almost like he didn't have a pulse. Gets in there, sacks his quarterback, as you say, gets number 13.
I can't believe you'd say that about another offensive lineman.
Well, you know what? I remember playing a little bit against Joe Fleming, and he does have the quick arm over. Probably one of the best in the league. He reminds me of Lyle Wozniacki, if that's a name from the past. The big Woz that was his thing. He knew he didn't have a whole lot of muscle, but but he had the great arm overs.
Baker misses the 45-yarder, and Eric Blunt's bringing it back across the 20 for Blunt. And it remains 41-24. Hinsey Charles bringing down Blunt through 45 minutes.
Well, you can see the first downs are fairly even, 18-11. Time of possession, 24-20. The big thing, net yards right there, 410 to 190. But if you're a Winnipeg fan, the Bombers' best quarter is the fourth quarter, where they've outscored the opponents 137 to 127. So there's an opportunity. They've had the big comeback against Saskatchewan a few weeks back. They can put some points on the board.
Eric Blunt, 162 all-purpose yards today. Troy Kopp goes to work. Pressure on, and he gets it away, incomplete. Unfortunate was Swift Birch bearing down on him. Birch trying to get his sack total into double figures, thought he had number 10 there.
And when you watch, you're going to see what Troy Kopp does here. He sets back, fakes a little play action to Blunt, and he feels him coming from behind. Now, they talk about quarterbacks having a spider sense. That definitely was some tingling going on there, because he started to duck before the guy got to him. He felt it.
Well, I told you, the Bombers have struggled in the third quarter, but they have been productive in the fourth. There's a completion to Mitch running, close to a first down at the 32.
And you know, that stat there shows you one thing, that there's so much character still on this football club, and the fact that they're down, but they never give up. They keep plugging away, and any team that still fights like as hard as they do in the fourth quarter, eventually things are going to turn around. And that's why everybody is optimistic in Winnipeg that this club, the two-year drought will be over.
It is a first down, Bombers. Play action over the middle running, and the ball hopped before it got to its target.
Well, just an attempt to get Mitch to come over the middle, find the opening behind the linebackers. As you say, he loves to go to running 2 times in a row, but both times, unfortunately, incomplete.
It's interesting that we've seen Troy Kopp go all the way today, because Gary Hoffman led us to believe that we would see Jay Walker. It's evaluation time for the Bombers, and they wanted to see Walker, the backup, but it's been Kopp's game all the way so far. And he puts this one up for grabs, and another costly interception. Irv Smith, the veteran cornerback, has his third of the year. Tom Hips applied the pressure, and Irv Smith has the interception. So the Montreal defense comes up with yet another big play.
It has the most powerful Vortec engine ever made. 4-wheel disc anti-lock brakes standard, and the largest, most comfortable cab we've ever built.
Your truck's here. Good. They said they'd drop it off.
The totally redesigned Sierra by GMC. Now that's a truck, I'll say.
Only one satellite service brings you Viewer's Choice pay-per-view events, movies, and sports. Want a front row seat? You've got it right now, but only with Star Choice. Subscribe this fall, and you'll get a month of premium movies, plus 2 movies from Viewer's Choice, and up to $200 in additional programming, all free. Like movies? Star Choice is the ticket.
The job of the FBI is to respond.
3 days.
I want you to turn the heat up.
FBI! And 2 men.
We will hunt down the enemy, and we will kill the enemy.
1 nation under siege.
It's lose-lose any way you play it.
On November 6th, freedom is history.
We do that, and they've won.
Denzel Washington, Annette Bening, and Bruce Willis.
Right now, right here, I am the law.
The Siege, an Edward Zwick film. November 6th, only in theaters.
Irv Smith, the team captain, player rep for the Alouettes, and apparently interested in a career in CFL management when his career is over, and he comes up with an interception after Tom Hips nearly had the sack.
Well, you can see Troy's going to throw the football here, and he's looking at Bruce Boyko, but look at all the guys here. 1, 2, 3 guys and only one white receiver there in the white jersey. I mean, you just can't have that. That's just a rookie mistake of trying to force the ball into not a very good situation.
There's Mike Pringle with the carry, and that should take him over 100 yards for the 13th consecutive game. It's going to be close now. He had 95 prior to that carry, and it's right on 100.
Well, I think that as soon as Mike Pringle gets over 100 yards, we will not see him anymore. I think they're just trying to get him that consecutive streak continued. And after that, it'll be rest and enjoy the rest of the game, Michael.
Well, this should confirm it. Pringle does now have another plus 100-yard game. He came up short, I think, of the first down. That's the 45th 100-yard game in his career. George Reed, in almost twice as many years in the league, at 66, so he's closing in on Reed's mark in that department.
Well, just a nice job of just a basic off-tackle play. Finds a hole. The biggest thing we talked about him time and time again is his ability to keep his legs churning. The first man very infrequently makes the play, and he's just going to make you work, make the guys tackle you. You're going to have to gang tackle him to bring this man down.
Getting ready, Montreal Hamilton next week. Ticats have done a good job against Pringle this year. Baker makes the field goal, and it's now a 20-point Montreal lead, 44-24.
What's new for lunch at Tim Hortons? Our sandwiches. New Tim's Own home-style sandwiches are made with a freshly baked country bun. That's new. And we've added tomato. That's new, too. We even have our own creamy new dressing. It all adds up to a whole new sandwich. From Black Forest ham and Swiss to garden vegetable. There are 6 new varieties to choose from. Made fresh and fast for you. New Tim's Own sandwiches. The home-style sandwich that's making a lot of news.
Tired of having it their way? Have it your way at Burger King. Hold the pickle, hold the lettuce. Special orders don't upset us. All we ask is that you let us serve it your way. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Have it your way. Have it your way. When you have it your way, Canada, it just tastes better.
Some big wheels that just rolled into Canadian Tire. Names like Michelin, Goodyear, Uniroyal, and Pirelli. Whether they're for your light truck or car, you need them, we've got them. So roll into Canadian Tire today, and you'll roll out with a great deal. Because nobody but Canadian Tire can bring the biggest brand names in tires down to our lowest prices guaranteed. After all, we are Canadian Tire.
Canadian Tire, still the right place.
Welcome back to Molson Stadium in Montreal. Yesterday in Toronto, a stadium a little bit older than this one saw its final football game ever. The Varsity Blues played their last game. The 100-year-old facility in downtown Toronto will be closed at the end of this year and demolished in the spring to make way for a new, smaller stadium. 30 Grey Cups were played at Varsity, including the 1950 Mud Bowl. By contrast, here in Montreal, this stadium, built in 1919, is expected to get more makeovers and be expanded by the Alouettes.
Over 16,000 here today. Mike Pringle now over 100 yards. I mentioned how well Hamilton's played against him. 98 yards one game, 100 the next, and 102. And against Mike Pringle, that's doing pretty well.
That's fine. And again, the fact is they give him the ball so many times. But I think one of the things that I do like about Montreal right now is they are having much more of a balanced attack as far as throwing the ball and mixing the run in. And I think they'll find much more success going that route.
Troy Kopp still in at quarterback, dumps it off for Blunt, but there's Doug Peterson. Swift Birch was putting on the heat, and Peterson had Blunt in his tracks.
Well, this is just not a very well-run screenplay. They're just going to try and let the defensive lineman get up in his face, slip Blunt out. All what we're going to do, the offensive line is just going to block a little bit, let him come free. You'll see Birch comes free right away. Blunt has to give him a shot. Pretend that he's blocking him, then release and allow it to look like a pass. Then he can go for big yardage. If you let Birch get in there too quick, it's going to turn into a nightmare, and that's exactly what he did.
Loss of 6, 2nd and 16. Top to the buck, but overthrows the target. Irv Smith was in the neighborhood anyway. And quick 2 and out for Winnipeg. And now Jay Walker begins to warm up.
Well, I think it's a good time for a change right now. The Winnipeg offense, which was showing little sparks of life, is now starting to become very lethargic, falling apart, almost like they're waiting for the game to get over with, so they get on a plane and go home. And I think they need to make some changes. It's a good choice by Coach Hoffman to put Walker and see what he's got right now.
Winnipeg's offense was at its best on the ground today, but in the fourth quarter, down by 20, you can't stay with the ground game. Cameron with the punt. Tyree Davis gets outside, and look out, one man to beat. Bob Cameron can't get him, and Davis will dance in. Touchdown.
A nice job, Chris. And I'll tell you what, when we see the replay of this, he actually shows the football to his teammates on the bench. Watch as he comes around. Now he's going to put the ball out. He knows he's waving to the bench. See in the end zone, he said. He knows he's got him beat. Bob Cameron, that's a nightmare for a punter. Nice attempt, though. Runs it in the end zone. Well, when he got to that corner with this 4-1-40 speed, he was waving goodbye.
He went 76 yards, so it probably took him at least 5 seconds. But another big play as the Alouettes poured on.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Bridgestone Blizzak. Now available in 2 tread patterns, Winter Biter and Ice Gripper. Blizzak, the winter tire that sticks to ice.
Well, the fans at Percival Molson Stadium weren't this happy back on Thanksgiving Monday when the Argos were here for the last home game, but Alouettes went to Sky Dome and did a job on the Argos, and they're having another romp here this afternoon against Winnipeg.
Well, they're doing it every way, and that's the thing you like. Special teams, offense, defense, everybody's contributing. Everybody's scoring touchdowns. I mean, last season, 8 touchdowns. This season, 2 touchdowns all today. I mean, they're just getting it done. And this is something we talked about building for the playoffs. They're really doing a good job.
Punt block. Charbonneau ended up on the ball. Then Stefan Reed with the long interception return for a touchdown. And now the punt return. Remember, we talked about it early. They weren't happy with their special teams the last time they played the Blue Bombers.
And I'm trying to think to myself, 4.140. What can I do in 4 seconds? Besides eat a hamburger, you know, that's about the only thing I can do in 4 seconds. Well, I mean, Chris, I saw you dancing yesterday. That was pretty good. I mean, that's a short soundtrack.
Listen, I know you can eat more than 1 hamburger in 4 seconds.
Speaking of that, yep.
51-24. Eric Blunt breaks outside, but good pursuit there by the Montreal special teams, and Mark Washington ends up bringing him to the turf. Let's rejoin Mark.
Chris, the final weekend of the regular season next weekend, next Sunday, our final game of the year at 1 Eastern from Ivor Wynne Stadium in Hamilton. The Montreal Alouettes versus the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and then our friends at TSN, their Friday night broadcast featuring Toronto and Winnipeg before the Argos and the Alouettes and the Ticats get set for playoff action.
Boy, it's going to be an interesting postseason. In the East, where it's Toronto and Montreal, and then the winner to take on the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
It'll also be interesting to see how Kerwin Bell responds. I mean, he had very un-Bell-like numbers last game. Only 200 yards. He threw for 160 in the first half.
How y'all doing out there? Allison, how you doing, Allison?
Tracy Ham moving around very good. I mean, started off early. Nice throw to Ben Cahoon. He just put them all on the board today. Of course, the record breaker here, 2,000 yards rushing. Pringle into the end zone. Historic play.
With the punt block, and he got on it for the touchdown. Easy pitch and catch to Chris Armstrong. And then Stephon Reed picked it off and headed downfield for another score. That's Rashawn Giddings shaken up on the kickoff return. Well, a couple of priorities for Hamilton, or for Winnipeg today. Mike Pringle to get to 2,000, to try and stay as healthy as possible, and to send a message to the rest of the league.
And you know what's going on right here? This is Chris Ford right here, number 66, and he's recommending what he wants Pringle to buy him now that they set this record. He says, I don't want the dinner, maybe a watch. Nah, no, maybe not a watch. No, maybe a grandfather clock.
And now Jay Walker is into the game, and a completion immediately to Spencer Mclennan. And it's into Montreal territory. So the second Winnipeg quarterback, Jay Walker, a rookie out of Howard who arrived in Winnipeg September the 29th, a former 7th round pick of the New England Patriots. Played in the World League for Barcelona. Had a couple of downs of action in Calgary last week, fumbled the football early. Hands it off, and Dylan McCullough goes for a run. Gets outside, and McCullough finally taken out at the 21-yard line by Irv Smith. That's a 31-yard run by McCullough.
You know what? You're sitting on the bench, you're a Bomber, you're saying, you know what, we're down 51-24, but no, we're not going to give up. Look at the blocking. The offensive line is still working. The fullback is still working. Bruce Boykin downfield is still working. Everybody is getting a hat on somebody. McCullough diving, even though he's out of bounds, still trying to get extra yards. You have to be encouraged. I know the score is not flattering, but you have to be encouraged by some of the people's efforts out here.
First down, Bombers, with Walker handing it off to McCullough again. Short gain, but this is what you were telling me before the game. Guys are playing for jobs next year, so they can't mail this one in.
Well, big time. I mean, you want to have big things happen. You know, if you're not going to win many games, what's the next best thing you can do? Take a look at the offensive line right here. I mean, these guys are coming. This is just nice. Push, push, push. Chris Perez. Here's a guy we haven't talked much about. They say offensive lineman, you never get much respect. The guy grades out the highest every week, week in, week out, on a winning team. He'd be getting a lot more recognition. Unfortunately, he's on a team that's 2-15, not getting the proper recognition.
Trouble with that shotgun snap, and now Walker tries to take off, and he's cut down by Brian Clark. Walker lost a shoe, and Clark tossed it back to the 40-yard line.
Well, he's a big kid, Jay Walker. Another big one. He's 6'3", 230 pounds. And you can see there's some tempers are starting to flare again now. We're getting some flags thrown. But, I mean, high snap. He's in the shotgun. Pressure from Peterson, forces him at the middle. He tries to take off for it. Nice job of tackle by Brian Clark. Ends up throwing the football farther than the football being thrown.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Montreal, number 90, first down, Winnipeg.
Colligate Swift Birch. You were talking about that offensive line last year, Chris. 3 of the offensive linemen earned the honors in Winnipeg. Mike Mihalik, who's out of the game with a broken wrist this week, was their top rookie last year. The top Canadian nominee was Craig Hendrickson, and the top offensive lineman was Chris Perez, and they may dominate the awards in Winnipeg this year again.
Well, they definitely, that's one of their solid, they have a very solid nucleus of players there. It'll be interesting to see how many guys stay and how many guys opt for free agency decide to sign with other teams. I know there were some things talked about with Craig Hendrickson when Jeff Reinbold was let go that said that that's basically I'm asking to be traded. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Troy Kopp's afternoon is done. A couple of interceptions today. And now he watches as Jay Walker tries to push one in for Winnipeg. 2nd and 5. Over the middle into traffic and incomplete. He was looking for Stiegel, who wants a call from the official, and Milt Stiegel protesting. Torrey Hunter was one of the men in coverage for the Alouettes.
Boy, it's just going to come across your screen in the middle right there. You know, it was good coverage from behind, and I think he took his eyes off the football a little bit because he saw William Loftus coming from the other side, and I think had he caught that, it would have been one heck of a collision.
So now it's 3rd down. And goal for the Bombers. Short drop, Stiegel again, touchdown. And Stiegel's going after Loftus in the end zone.
Well, we talked about the last play that I think he looked and he saw Loftus coming toward him. Was very upset, thought there should have been a penalty. This time he just beats Torrey Hunter. Ball is thrown nice, dropped right to his hands for a quick touchdown.
And they're sending in a play for the 2-point conversion. It's almost as if Stiegel went back in the huddle after the incompletion and said, Rook, throw me the ball again, I'm going to score.
He might very well have done just that.
So a chance for 2. Walker rolling outside, wide open running, and it's 2 more for Winnipeg, an 8-point play, and it's 51-32. Alouettes with a commanding lead, 5:21 to go, but Jay Walker with his first CFL touchdown pass.
The 1999 Nissan Altima. Unexpected luxury from just $19,898.
We switched our toll-free and long-distance services to Sprint Canada. The change was seamless. 0 downtime. The savings are excellent. By the second billing means we don't pay for time we don't use. My Sprint Canada rep has a real understanding of our business. Whatever I need, I make one call, boom, it's taken care of. The easier it is to do business, the more I can do.
Highest scoring game in the Canadian Football League this year, 83 points, 10 more than the Calgary-Saskatchewan game of August the 7th, won by the Stampeders. 46-27. Now, will we get a short kick? Canes team in, but Westwood sends it downfield. That's Michael Soles, and he's nailed at the 32. Milt Stiegel with the touchdown catch, his 3rd of the year.
Well, nice job of protection by the offensive line. Just sits back there, little throw, little arm over move. A lot of times receivers have to get away from the defenders. He just makes a nice move, gets over there. Of course, the 2-point, he goes for 2, throws and rolls, little bootleg to the right. Little breakdown in the Alouette coverage, and Mitch Running comes wide open. Now, one of the things, Chris, that happens in these games is you get a big lead, teams start to relax. what happens, the other team will put some points on you. But what also happens is, if you start scoring on them, Toronto or Hamilton will look at the game film and wonder, how did they do it? Find successes, find weaknesses. And this is something why you always want to be playing 60 minutes to don't give your enemies any film work they can use against you.
Big hit. Wade Miller nailing another solid Canadian, Michael Souls. And Michael can no longer recite all of Pringle's records.
Well, he comes down. I mean, Wade Miller is a human torpedo. That's a stick. Here's a guy 5'9", 160. I mean,
that was right out of Walby's tips. Wade Miller did the tackling tips for you.
He broke through the dummies. Well, I don't want to call them dummies. He broke through the blocking wall, not like the video, and made just a great form tackle. And, you know, as we said, we joked about how he talked in the beginning of the game and how he said, watch me, guys. Put me on TV today because I'm going to do something. And he did. He's a very fierce competitor. Here's a guy who's, I really believe, as hard as big as his size. He's showing you that no matter what size you are in height, don't ever let anybody tell you you can't do what your dream says. He wants to play professional football, and he's loving every minute as he's doing it.
Let's join Mark.
Well, Chris, from tackles to triple Lutzes, another season of figure skating magic from the pro ranks begins next Saturday on CBC with the Royal Banks U.S. Pro Figure Skating Championships. Magic on ice. It all begins at 4 Eastern on CBC.
I know Walby will be watching next week.
You know what? I really respect that. I think these figure skaters are tremendous athletes. I just love to get off the ice on a pair of skates.
Here's Calvillo looking downfield, and Chris Wright with the catch in front of Reggie Carthen.
Yeah, I think if I was on figure skates, I'd just end up doing a little bit of an ice carving.
How about Joe Fleming? You mentioned earlier, I mean, you were a Manitoba Junior Hockey League guy, but Fleming, the big defensive tackle for Winnipeg, former draft choice of the St. Louis Blues. Ryan Coughlin, who is in the Montreal lineup as their long snapper. He was a McGill-Redmond hockey player in his freshman year. Tries to give to Haskins on the right side, who is still running and out of bounds, replacing Mike Pringle for the rest of the afternoon.
I think that might be a good indicator of a player's talent. I think you look down the old resume, see a little hockey background, you pick him. That might be the way to do it. I know that, you know, anybody can play multi-sports, and of course, growing up in Canada, what's your first dream? It's hockey. I mean, you get hockey skates as a kid, you play it. As you get older, you realize that football's just as much fun. But it's funny, the mentality in Canada has always been hockey skates for kids, where if you go down to the States, you'll see little baby cleats hanging in people's mirrors. Just a different philosophy.
2nd and 5 for the Alouettes. Calvillo at the controls, and he looks downfield, and Davis couldn't hang on, and then he got elected. Brandon Hamilton, the corner. Davis bounces up after the heavy hit from Hamilton.
Well, he should have caught this football. He runs a nice route, comes into it, right in the hands. Nice throw by Calvillo, and Calvillo's going to start getting on these guys too. He's going to say, you know what? Help me out a little bit, guys. Start catching these footballs. I know we've got the game won, but don't just start dropping it. Hold on to them. Let's move it. Let's put some more points on so I can start building my confidence, because I'm going to probably be the starter next week against Hamilton.
3:33 remaining. And it doesn't look like they've got the right alignment for the Alouettes, so they're going to take the time count violation. It is nice to see Michael Souls back out there, though.
Well, he just got a Wade Miller tattoo on his chest, that's all. He'll have to explain it to his wife. I'm not fooling around, honey.
10 years in the league, he says this will be his final season, and one of the things he's thankful for is that he's been able to play injury-free throughout a decade of football in the CFL.
And he's just one of those tough guys. I mean, you talk about this guy all the time, about what he does. I mean, for every yard that Pringle gets, I mean, you got to look at, I know I always talk about the offensive lineman, but your fullback or your lead blocker is so key, and he's just done an incredible job, and he's regarded as a 6th offensive lineman.
So they took the timeout now. Baker gets set to kick it away. And it bounces out of bounds before Blunt can pick it up.
Well, let's see what Jay Walker can do this time. He moved him up, aided by a penalty, albeit. Put a touchdown and 2-point conversion last time he touched the football. So let's see if he can generate some more offense, because as you say, this will be evaluation time for next week's last regular season game for them against the Toronto Argonauts.
And Lance Funderburk, the third quarterback for Montreal. Looks like he may be coming into the game.
And that'll be interesting, because here's a guy, Funderburk, excuse me, from Valdosta State, coached by Matt Dunnigan.
Walker outside. And a completion to Boyko. Out of bounds at the 37. 3-minute warning given to the benches.
Play the All-Star game at McDonald's.
Rangers, I gotta have a Rangers. Come on, Rangers.
Wow, Leafs, I can use that. I wonder why I can't get a Rangers piece.
Collect all new NHL divisions and you could win a 1999 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo. $9,999 in cash. A trip to the NHL All-Star game, or even a visit with Wayne Gretzky.
Hey, what do you know? I got the Rangers again.
Hey, pal.
Come on! Don't make me pay the late charge. I got it at 12 noon yesterday, and it's 1:30. Give me a break, eh?
Actually, you can keep the tape. It's yours.
Really?
Get an NHL video, specially marked cases of Labatt Blue. 4 videos to collect. See great goals, bloopers, and hits. Out of the blue.
I won't forget this.
No purchase necessary. Must be legal drinking age.
In Montreal, and the polls are closed in our best running back vote today, and it's a landslide victory for George Reed. 84.9% of our callers have voted Reed, the league's all-time leading rusher, the best running back in the CFL over Mike Pringle. On the same day that Pringle became the first man in history over the 2,000-yard barrier. We thank everybody for calling and participating in today's vote. Chris?
Well, hard to argue with the results when the guy with the win has 16,000 yards plus in the league. And yet I got the impression there were a lot of calls from Saskatchewan.
Well, you got to wonder sometimes. I mean, and the reason these are interesting polls to put on, but I don't know. I have a hard time because I think they're both really, really Hall. Well, one's in the Hall of Fame, one will surely be in the Hall of Fame. And sometimes they don't do credit to both parties. It's almost like you're having to make a choice in the decision. It's a tough decision.
When it's all said and done, they'll be 1 and 2, I would expect, on the all-time list. What a catch by Spencer Mclennan there at the 26. The fade pattern and a perfect toss by Walker.
Well, you know what? He's one of the guys they've actually gone and thrown it. As you say, nice to catch over the opposite shoulder. Nice concentration of holding onto the ball. Jay Walker's actually going to his wide receivers. Troy Kopp really never threw the football. I think we saw one attempt to Matt DeBuck in the first half. He never went back to him. And if you're not using your outside receivers, your corners can cheat inside. You've got to stretch the defense.
And he had Stiegel wide open and just missed him through a rope. Stiegel was surprised to think at how wide open Milt was.
Well, he was definitely wide open, had 3 steps on the coverage. Walker recognized this right off the bat. Little fake pump. Right away, it's right there. But as you say, on a rope, a little bit too much excitement on the ball. Throws it a little too hard, just out of the reach of Stiegel. And as you say, again, I'm impressed with the reads. They're making the right reads.
Third string quarterback in Minnesota the past 2 years. Second and 10. Walker, Stiegel, and he shakes the tackle and is down at the 11-yard line. Loftus, the safety, who exchanged words with Stiegel on the last series, was there to make the tackle.
Well, I tell you what, you thought the ball thrown by Walker last time was on a rope. This is a pistol. This thing just gets fired out of the cannon. I mean, it's right in the stomach, and you better start using your hands to catch this football, or you'll be wearing it home in the plane. It's right on the money. That is a nice throw.
And Walker may be buying himself a lot more playing time in the final week of the season. Guns another one to Stiegel near the end zone. Touchdown. Milt Stiegel has his second touchdown in as many series for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on a receiving end of Jay Walker's passes.
Well, we've seen him take the ball and drive it down twice, and again, we talked about this. One of the things that happens, yeah, you have the lead, but don't show weaknesses. And right now, Jay Walker, for whatever reason, any excuse that Montreal is going to give you, is exploiting the secondary of the Alouettes.
So they'll go for 2 again. Six receivers out. Over the middle for Blunt, incomplete. And it remains 51-38. A minute 35 to go, but Jay Walker has left an impression here this afternoon. Evaluation time for the Bombers. And he's going to get a pretty good grade.
He's going to get a good grade, but what the critics are going to say is he came into the game when Montreal already had the game won. They were playing prevent or softer than they normally would have. The emotion was out of the defense. Therefore, you got to take a little bit away from that staff. But I still am impressed with the fact that this guy took the field or took the ball club down both times he had the ball, distributed the ball both to the inside receiver and to the outside receiver. I think he used the field very well.
Here's Mark.
Chris, here's our starting lineup tonight in prime time on CBC television. An all-new Emily of New Moon as the relatives make some changes, followed by Chrysler Stars on Ice, Kurt Browning, Brian Orser, Josie Schwinnard, Brasseur and Eisler, and Bornenkratz are among the stars. Then it's the Leahys with their special brand of music, followed by Sunday Report and Venture tonight on CBC television as Milt Stiegel enjoys his second TD of this game.
An 89-point afternoon at Molson Stadium. A little slow in getting Milt Stiegel the football upon his return, but the young quarterbacks are learning how reliable a target he could be. And now we're going to get the short kick, and they'll go to the near side, and it is fielded by the Alouettes.
And a nice job by Hensey Charles of blocking or impeding the progress of Mitch Running, who's trying to get to the football. They line up everybody to one side of the field, Running and DeBuck to the other side. I'm a little surprised of having Matt DeBuck to the one side, because usually when you have a short, you want to have a taller receiver. I don't understand the logic, a little bit of that. I take 2 of my taller receivers and put them over there so they have the ability to at least bat the ball out of bounds.
So Charles does the job. Bruce Dixon protects the football, and Montreal has it with a minute 33 left on the clock. And Lance Funderburk, the third quarterback for the Alouettes, is in. Hand off to the tailback, Thomas Haskins. And Haskins to the 45. And here's how the standings look after 17 weeks of action. And again, Dave Ritchie said he wanted to match Hamilton's record. Hamilton gets the tiebreaker because they've won 2 and the other tied against Montreal earlier in the year, but Dave Ritchie wants to make a statement that,
well, for them to match, obviously they got to beat Hamilton next week. But here the West, I mean, BC has come on strong. They really played very, very well against Edmonton last week. And I tell you what, this is going to be a dogfight in the West as well.
And getting ready to get started In Calgary, the Battle of Alberta resuming again. Second down, Thunderbird will throw. Tyree Davis, and Davis showing that speed again. Flag down, but Davis still going to the 15. Will likely be a face mask penalty tacked on. 31 yards for Tyree Davis.
Well, they might have a hard time taking this guy out of the lineup right now, because I tell you what, he does. After he catches his football, he explodes.
Major foul, face mask, Winnipeg number 52. First down.
Well, Wesley Lisi with the face masking call, but you gotta like his effort. I mean, hand on the ground, keeping the balance. This game's over, folks, and this guy's still fighting. You gotta like it. He knows that the better he does, the better chance he has to stay in this lineup and go with these guys into the playoffs.
March down to the 8-yard line now after the penalty. They might be into triple figures on the scoreboard before it's over. Here's Bruno Heppel. Heppel, touchdown!
Well, that's his first touchdown of the year, Chris, and he's got to be excited.
And the Montreal fans celebrating that touchdown run by Bruno Heppel.
Well, just a nice job of blocking by the offensive line. They're still having fun out there. 8 yards out, create a nice hole. Bruno Heppel, who is obviously the heir apparent to Michael Souls when he leaves after this year. Thunderbird just comes back, straight handoff, puts it in the sack. There he goes, right to the outside, falls the offensive line. Bam, touchdown.
He better get out of the way, because Neil Fort's going to fall on him. Point after good by Baker. Now 96 total points. And Heppel wearing a satisfied grin. Second career touchdown. He had one last year.
Boy, if you can go into a game and have everything work for you, if you get team, you know, as a coach, you're saying, boy, if we could do some real nice stuff on special teams, that'd be great. They can do some great stuff on special teams. Block a punt, get a touchdown on that, return a kickoff, or a punt, excuse me, again for a touchdown. How about offense? Offense moved the ball very effectively. Tracy Ham and Cavillo. Now Thunderberg's in there. He gets a touchdown. Defense, they score a touchdown. You got to be really happy if you're Dave Ritchie right now. Or you're Bruno Heppel.
The only thing concerning Dave Ritchie right now is how badly Tracy Ham was hurt earlier this afternoon.
Well, I agree with you. You can see they're all sitting there together. There they are. There's Alford, Peyton, Mike Pringle, Tracy Ham in the jacket, all conferring.
Next week, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. One other game today, Saskatchewan and BC. And the Lions still with a shot at home field in that Western semifinal. They need to win their final two, and Edmonton lose their last two games. Eric Blunt with the kickoff return.
Well, can we go 3 for 3, Chris? This will be the interesting step.
Just going through, this is the 7th highest scoring game in league history. 96 points. BC and Toronto racked up 111 back in 1990 in a 68-43 win for the Argos.
Well, at least you're making the kickers work for a change.
Everybody's been in on the act today. Jay Walker now. Downfield, Mitch running. Great catch. And down at the 35, we may get to triple figures here with 1:01 to go. Winnipeg gets into scoring position.
Well, just a nice read again, nice throw, but you gotta love this Mitch running guy. I mean, this guy, I love his nickname is Two Dogs Running. Now, I'm not even gonna try and touch that one. but I love the way this guy comes back to the football and throws his body, knowing he's going to get hit, up in the air to catch it.
The guy hiding behind the post here is Jeff Bearholm, and I think he's been impressed with the way this quarterback's throwing the ball. No catch there and a flag down.
Well, they're playing the full 60 minutes today, folks. I mean, they're not packing it up. And this offense, I mean, they got to start getting excited about this.
Illegal contact on an eligible receiver, Montreal number 6. First down.
Hensey Charles called on the play. The intended receiver there was Travis Anderson. First pass thrown his way today. Jay Walker, though, has continued to move the football here in the fourth quarter. Say what you will about the circumstances. Those are pretty good numbers for his first real CFL exposure. Stands in and fires running, and he can't hold on. He really was jarred in the end zone and running unable to squeeze the football. Harold Nash knocked it loose.
Well, here's a guy that goes and throws his body to the wind to catch the football. He stretches again. Nice pump fake. Nice throw. He goes up, leaves his feet again. As you say, Harold Nash with the forearms right in the midsection. Nice job of defending by Harold Nash, stopping or eliminating that opportunity for a touchdown.
The old receiver says he had control of it in the end zone long enough. That's not the way they saw it down on the field. Mclennan, 15 to the 10 and a first down. And Winnipeg keeps rolling here with 34 seconds left.
Now he goes deep the last play. This play, he goes to his wide receiver again. Slants the wide receiver in, almost like a little bit of a hitch pass. Hits Spencer Mclennan, takes it up for a first down. Smart play calling.
And Alfred Payton, a little fast to up the mark.
We really haven't mentioned Alfred Payton's name much today, so.
Montreal 57. First down.
I mean, this is probably the quietest we've heard from a couple of these players. I mean, Alfred Payton we haven't mentioned. Peterson we've got to be quiet on today.
This is the next one right here. This is the next one right here, Isaiah Pringle.
Isaiah's got that Pringle game face, doesn't he? Here's Blunt to the end zone, and Bombers were signaling touchdown.
Well, that almost looked like the referees were looking at each other saying, you put your hands up, no, I'll put them up. Neither one did. It's almost like they're waiting for him just to fall or have his momentum carry him across that line. Well, we'll get another crack at it right now.
Well, when the quarterback 6'3", 230, he might be a good bet here. No, it'll be Blunt, and he won't get there. Whoa! Now we'll call Alfred Payton's name, along with Hensey Charles.
Well, this is what happens when you go too fast. Slow down. I know your pulse, everything's going. Now, he's calling fire. He's going to hurry up offense. But what happens in this play, nobody picks up Hensey Charles from the outside. He comes in there and stuffs the play before he even gets started.
So now it's third down from the 3. No huddle. End zone knocked down into double coverage, but a flag as they went for Stiegel, and they get the flag for interference.
The referee on this play, back judge, throws the flag late, but yes, definitely interference.
Forward pass interference, Montreal 31, penalty and goal, first down.
Well, Baron Miles with the infraction is going to give Winnipeg 3 more cracks from the 1-yard line. He's just setting up right here, tries to thread the needle right now. Baron Miles, who's played a great game today, unfortunately a little bit too much contact.
Blunt to the goal line again, no indication he didn't get there.
Well, I'd be making a lot of hoopla about this offensive line now. And the rule is, when you're on the 1-yard line, you get this many cracks at it, you better get your butt in the end zone.
7 seconds left. And again, Jay Walker's seems to be in a real hurry here to just line it up and get it done. Fake bootleg, and he'll score his first CFL touchdown.
Well, nice job. They ran 5 plays or 4 plays earlier, straight up the middle. Didn't make it. He fakes it this time. He just faked it to Blunt. Everybody, there's Alfred Payton. They all take the fake. He runs into the end zone. What I like about this is he's standing out there and everybody's looking around saying, hey, who's the new guy? Who is this guy that just scored? They don't even know their teammates because they're all new. But that's a nice job by Jay Walker taking it in. 3 for 3.
Now they're going to go for 2 points, and this would, if successful, tie for the second highest scoring game in CFL history. Walker, pressure on, Swift Birch. And the little dump pass to Blunt will end this, and the final score will be 58-44 for the Montreal Alouettes. A game which didn't affect the standings either way, but turned out to be an entertaining affair.
And I think that Winnipeg's got lots to be proud of right now. They fought for 60 minutes, and I think their quarterback problems might be alleviated.
There's the 2,000-yard man in a Montreal win.
Our advice to those thinking of offering advice to a Bonneville driver: don't. Pontiac Bonneville, built for drivers.
Yes. I'd like to get some mutual funds. Okay, Mr. Wheeler, you kindly put your head in the vise and we'll get started. Now, when I say the letters FI, I'm referring to bond funds, S equities, and C, well, money markets. Now, let's take a peek at a few of the funds available to you and how their standard deviations compare to their compounded annual returns. Before we calculate...
There is a quick and painless way to get the right mix of mutual funds. Matchmaker, available at Bank of Montreal. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Do you ever wonder why people do the things they do?
Critics are raving. Apt Pupil is one of the boldest films of the year.
Put this on because I want to see you in it.
Scarily brilliant.
Stop it!
Ian McKellen's Oscar-worthy performance is riveting.
You play with fire.
Hitchcockian. With a climax that will haunt you for days. From the director of The Usual Suspects and the author of Misery and The Shining.
Come down to the cellar. You're not going to believe this.
Apt Pupil. Now playing in theaters everywhere.
Sure, you can do it, and Canadian Tire can help with everything you need at a price you'll like. Is it any wonder why Canadian Tire is still the right place to do it?
What's new for lunch at Tim Hortons? Our sandwiches. New Tim's Own home-style sandwiches are made with a freshly baked country bun. That's new. And we've added tomato. That's new, too. We even have our own creamy new dressing. It all adds up to a whole new sandwich. From Black Forest ham and Swiss to garden vegetable. There are 6 new varieties to choose from. Made fresh and fast for you. New Tim's Own sandwiches. The home-style sandwich that's making a lot of news.
Mike Pringle is the toast of the town as Montreal wins the scoring spree here this afternoon. Coming up next Saturday on Molson on Hockey Night in Canada, Montreal at Toronto to play the Senators. Then it's Buffalo at Toronto, and then Pittsburgh at Edmonton. It all begins at 6:30 Eastern with Labatt Saturday night. Next Sunday, our next game of the CFL on CBC, Montreal at Hamilton, as we close out the regular season and get ready for the playoffs. Today in Montreal, history in the making as Mike Pringle breaks the 2,000-yard barrier for the first time in CFL history. Thanks for watching, and so long.
CBC Sports, Canada's Olympic Network.